venerable franchises in American sports, the New York Football Giants. "66 years of professional football." Sam Huff, a middle linebacker who anchored many of the great Giant defenses. They were NFL champions in his rookie year, and now a future Hall of Famer lurks in the Giants defense. He's already been a 1 Super Bowl winner.
We have the opportunity right now with this type of team to go the distance, and nobody and no one unit want to be the unit that keeps us from getting to our ultimate goal.
Charlie Connerly from Ole Miss quarterbacked the Giants in 4 of the team's 15 league championship appearances. Phil Simms, the Giants quarterback of today, has led this team to a perfect 7-0 record, the best start in the history of the franchise.
The difference between 6-1 and 7-0 are great in the eyes of you, the eyes of America, and the eyes of other players in the league, probably. So that's good. It keeps pressure on us, and I think that as athletes, we all would like to have a little of that pressure and the eye focused upon us.
The undefeated New York Giants meet the Indianapolis Colts on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Well, it's Monday night, a new week has begun. I turn on the tube for some pigskin fun. I see a Super Bowl season on ABC. The big game each week is their specialty. I gotta get ready, make everything right. Monday Night Football's coming on tonight. Are you ready?
It's party time.
I said, are you ready? Yes. Are you ready for some football? Hey, Monday Night Party! Hey, this is rockin' Resto, hey. Ready to get the thing started. We got the teams on the field and we turned up the lights, and all my rowdy friends are back for Monday night. Yes, everybody is a fan. This is the biggest party fan. Yeah, we got the week. It's the time that is right. All my rowdy friends are here on Monday night.
ABC's Monday Night Football, the New York Giants versus the Indianapolis Colts. Brought to you by the all-new Nissan Sentra, the first affordable sports sedan. By Budweiser, the king of beers, with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By Braun Electric Shavers. It is through superior design that superior performance can be achieved. And by Alamo. There are over 4 million miles of roads in America, and with Alamo, all the miles are free.
The Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana, on a damp, blustery Midwestern evening. But inside, a capacity crowd, 60,000 plus on hand, as the New York Giants are in town to take on the Indianapolis Colts. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Happy you're with us, and this is a game that many people are calling a mismatch. You talk to the Giant players, they'll tell you it's not a mismatch. They would like to win tonight to stay with the San Francisco 49ers at 8-0 and the only 2 undefeated teams in the National Football League. Meanwhile, the Colts have struggled early in the season. They are 2-5, and they are trying to look for a little bit of self-respect. They will go with their young quarterback, Jeff George, tonight, that they gave up so much talent for to acquire as the #1 player in the draft. Eric Dickerson will be making his 3rd start after his long and celebrated holdout, and maybe he'll return to the Dickerson of old. Meanwhile, the Giants do not have the fancy names that you will find on the offensive team of the 49ers, like the Rice and, of course, their big quarterback, Joe Montana, but they have a Phil Simms who has been around. He's been there before. They have a young developing offensive line, and defensively they are solid throughout. And they do have a superstar there, a superstar among superstars, and that would be, of course, a Lawrence Taylor. All in all, Al Michaels, the Giants, we'd have to say, is a team, however. This is a team that seems to be happy with each other. They like to play together, and, of course, Bill Parcells like to say they are a focused team, and they are not looking to December the 3rd in the San Francisco 49ers. They are in Indianapolis tonight. They are looking at the Colts, and that's about it. At least that's the party line. We know we're looking forward to it.
You know, every time I watch them play this year, Frank, I keep thinking of that interview we've seen 1,000 times. Interviewer says to Coach, what do you have to do to win? And the coach says, well, we have to do 3 things. We have to control the ball, we need good play from our special teams, and we need to eliminate mistakes. We've heard it 1,000 times. It's the ultimate cliche, but that's exactly how the Giants have won thus far this season. They are a perfect 7-0 because of those reasons, and they have done it without pizzazz. Think about a couple of things. Their running game is averaging only 3.5 yards a carry. That's on the underside of mediocre. As far as their receivers are concerned, their leading wide receiver has caught only 10 balls, which is an inordinately low number, and Lawrence Taylor doesn't have a sack in 4 games. Between now and that big date in San Francisco on December 3rd, the Giants' biggest opponent might be complacency. And that might be the biggest opponent tonight, Dan, because the Indianapolis Colts come in. Do they have a slim and none chance tonight or a none and none chance?
Well, Al, if they win, you may have to resurrect your do I believe in miracles line, because it's a long one for the Colts. And I think rather than winning, I think they're looking, well, of course, they're going to try to win, but there's some interesting things that have to happen tonight for them to win. One, they can't have drop passes, they can't have fumbles, they can't have the obvious mistakes that kill a team. But Jeff George, the #1 pick of the draft, making his 4th start here this evening. In Indianapolis, by some in the media and even some of the players on the Colts, he's been labeled as the kid with the golden arm, but maybe a heart of tin. They think maybe in some of his injuries he could still be playing. Sometime tonight, Jeff George is going to take a shot from Lawrence Taylor, Leonard Marshall, or somebody like that. He's either going to head to the huddle or head to the sideline. Which direction he goes might determine which direction his franchise goes.
And here we go from the Hoosier Dome. Sellout crowd. Dean Biasucci to kick off for the Indianapolis Colts. And he booms one through the end zone. So there'll be no run back by Dave Meggett or Rodney Hampton. Here come the Giants. Phil Simms celebrated his 35th birthday over the weekend. 10 touchdown passes and 1 interception, and that was opening night against Philadelphia. Anderson and Carton with him in the backfield at the outset. Ingram and Baker are the wideouts. Bavaro is healthy, the tight end. And when he's healthy, the Giants are a whole other team. Moore, Roberts, Oates, Kratz, and Riesenberg, the interior linemen, as the Giants set up at the 21st and 10. And this is Otis Anderson for a pickup of about 4 over the right side. It'll be 2nd down and 6. Now a look at the Indy defense, a basic 3-4. With Donnell Thompson out tonight, Clancy to start at left end, Armstrong in the middle, and John Hand on the outside. Good linebacking with Banks, Farad, Young, and Bickett. And a secondary that's been very suspect. Good and Daniel at the corners, and Taylor and Pryor, the safeties. 2nd and call it 5 from the 25. The Giants with 3 tight ends, and they run Anderson off the left side. And as we stated at the top, the Giants functional and very efficient. They send Anderson over the right side for close to 5, and then bring him back over the left side for nearly 4. And that sets up a 3rd and 1. Anderson, whose career was resurrected in 1986 when he was sent from the Cardinals to New York. And now he is once again the main man in a backfield late in his career. 3rd and call it inches from the 30-yard line. And it is Anderson again, and it's a typical New York beginning. A 1st down as Anderson carries out to the 35, stopped by Bickett.
But Dan, being a former St. Louis Cardinal, is well aware of the talent of this young man. One of the most important talents he has is he doesn't fumble the football. He rarely turns it over, has a remarkable record, and I think he hasn't fumbled in over 135 carries or something like that. Nothing very flashy by the Giants tonight. How about that formation? Nothing subtle about that. Bavaro, Cross, Carthen, all unbalanced to the one side. Interesting set now for the Giants. Meggett and the #1 draft pick Hampton in there together.
And that's the first time that has happened, as Meggett, for a gain of about 2 up to the 37, where he is stopped by Jeff Harrod, who had a big year last year, team's leading tackler, and then he held out, as did John Hand, and as did Eric Dickerson. So it's taken the Colts a while to get things together, and in fact, they're quite clearly still in the process.
They whipped Meggett in there and Hampton. Keep in mind they are both fine receivers. Meggett can flank as a wide receiver, and Hampton has already displayed great receiving ability out of the backfield. So the Giants, in this case, can go with 2 tight ends and still not lose any effectiveness with receivers.
2nd and 8. Giants from the 36-yard line. Sims protected well, flips it out for Meggett, who had to wait for it to float into his hands, and he is stopped back of the line of scrimmage. Not a well-developed screen as Mike Pryor comes up to make the stop. It'll be 3rd and long. 3rd and close to 10 now from the 35. The Colts really struggling defensively this year. They have given up several 3rd and long plays, and that has led to their downfall.
Giants now bring in another wide receiver, Lionel Manuel, who has really emerged over the past couple of games as part of their offensive attack. Number 86 there in the slot.
Meggett in motion. On 3rd and 9, Sims hits Hampton for a first down, and he's tackled at the 50 by Jeff Herrod. Rodney Hampton opted to come out after his junior year at Georgia. The Giants picked him number 1, and when we saw him in preseason, the first time he handled the ball at Buffalo, he went 90 yards for a touchdown.
Boy, one of the things of beauty on that play is how they ran Hampton right up through the line of scrimmage. He got lost in his play fake, and it's not often you'll run a guy over center to get him out into the pass pattern, and that's what happened that time. Take a look at this. You see Hampton there to the right of your screen. There he goes right up into the middle, and Herrod loses him for just that one step it takes. Well-designed play by the Giants.
1st and 10 from the 50. The play fake to Anderson. A lot of time for Sims. Sims goes deep, and it's incomplete. And Stephen Baker and Eugene Daniels both going down. And I have a feeling as Baker looks at the official that the side judge decided it was an uncatchable ball. No interference.
And it was uncatchable. The ball looked to be a good 4 yards overthrown. Watch the hit, though, that Phil Sims takes from Chip Banks. Maybe we'll see it later. But watch this one right here. This ball, I think, is going to land a good 4 yards beyond Baker. There you see their legs get tangled. The ball comes down almost to the goal line. I think that's a pretty good call by the official, and that is clearly inadvertent.
2nd and 10 from the 50. With Cross in motion. And it's Anderson unable to exploit a block from Cross as Fred Young comes in to break the play up along with Mike Pryor. And it will be 3rd and 11.
Let's go back to that last play. I mentioned that hit by Chip Banks. Watch him hit Phil Sims the minute the ball goes. Boy, that helmet right in the shoulder blade. Over the course of his career, Phil Sims has demonstrated week in and week out that maybe no one any tougher ever took a snap from center. This man's leadership capabilities have been well documented, and his physical toughness as well.
3rd and 11, Giants from the 49. Opening quarter, no score. Giants with 4 receivers as Sims now steps up as the Giants fall victim for the first time to the Indianapolis crowd, and Sims has to spend a timeout.
And he got it with only 1 second left on the play clock. He barely got that timeout called.
So the Giants take a timeout early in the first quarter. When we come back, 3rd and 11.
If I owned a car company, first thing I'd do is snag the biggest office. But then I'd build myself a sports sedan. The head designer would be me. I'd make the body aerodynamic. Like even the door handles would be cool. Then I'd manufacture it with unibody construction, a fully independent suspension, and a dual overhead cam 16-valve engine. Then I'd test it. My sports sedan would be responsible. And I would definitely want anti-lock brakes. Finally, I'd unveil it. And just to tease off the other car companies, I'd make my sports sedan affordable. Because I'm tired of the rich guys having all the fun.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Sentra, the first affordable sports sedan.
Barbecue? Summer's over. Bag it. McDonald's? Hey, McRib. Let's see. McDonald's? Oh, c'est pas champ.
few good men with a medal to be Marines.
Opening drive of the game at the Hoosier Dome. The Giants started at their 20-yard line. They are at their own 49. It's 3rd and 11 with 9:40 remaining in the opening quarter. Sims, and Dan referred to how tough he is, and there he is, sacked 403 times in his career. Only Fran Tarkenton and Craig Morton went down more often. 2 former Giants, interestingly enough. 3rd and 11 out of the gun from the 49. Ingram in motion. Sims with a lot of time again, looking for Stephen Baker, and Baker makes the catch at the 11-yard line. He got by Eugene Daniel, and Baker really beginning to emerge lately as the Giants look for that one wideout, that one receiver who can turn into big play, and it's been Baker the last couple of weeks.
When you had the 4 wide receivers in there, you're going to get individual coverage, and the Giants got it on the man they wanted, Eugene Daniel. They worked on him twice now. Baker gave a little in move, got behind him with a great speed, and Baker, as Al pointed out, has become a big offensive tool for the Giants recently. I mean, he has great speed, not too big, but he has played very large and averaging well over 21 yards a catch.
And there were the Colts again, giving up a 3rd and long. It was 3rd and 11 in his movement this time, and no play. As we have a flag. Pat Haggerty is our referee tonight.
Looked like Eric Moore, who was lined up over there at a tight end.
Ball start. Number 16. Offense. Still first down.
When you say, Dan, the one weakness to this offensive line, it's not all that weak with Eric Moore over there, but Eric Moore should be at right guard where Cratch is, and John Elliott, the big tackle, is on the bench with the broken fibula, deactivated tonight.
Yeah, I talked to Elliott before the game, and he expects to be back for their game next Sunday. He's been out for a couple of weeks, and big Jumbo Elliott, the former All-American from Michigan, has really developed at the left tackle spot for the Giants.
1st and 15 from the 15. They can get a first down without a touchdown. Baker in motion. Sims look toward Baker and then gets buried at the 22-yard line as Sam Clancy gets the sack. Former basketball player out of the University of Pittsburgh.
Just about a coverage sack. Joe Sims had a lot of time to get rid of the ball, and it's just good coverage as the Colts tighten things up defensively as they move down inside their own 25-yard line.
You know, Frank, that's really the play, even though it doesn't look like that made Bill Parcells happy. That's a sign of a veteran quarterback. That is not the area of the field to make a foolish mistake. You're in field goal range. To take a sack at that situation, it is not the end of the world. Not like an interception would be.
2nd and 21 from the 22. They set up the screen, and it is Anderson who gets to the 16-yard line. And it will be 3rd and 15 as Fred Young makes the tackle. We lost our picture for a moment, and what you missed was, as we described, Anderson catching a screen pass. Young making the tackle. It picks up about 6 yards, and it's 3rd down and 15 from the 16.
Quick look at Mike Pope signaling the next play in, and here is the screen. And Roberts, number 66, is out in front of it. Anderson tries to break it back in, sees nothing there, goes outside and picks up a few yards. They need about 6 for the first.
Well, the Giants on this drive have converted a 3rd and 9 and a 3rd and 11, and now they'll try to convert a 3rd down and 15. Sims to the 10-yard line. It's complete there to Dave Meggett, but he is stopped at the 7, and the Giants will have to settle for a field goal attempt as Herod, Taylor, and Pryor converge on the tackle.
Interesting, too, Al. Giants have used up more than half of the first quarter. This is the characteristic part of the Giants' offensive unit. They control their offense. They do very high percentage things, and they use that clock.
Matt Barr to attempt a 23-yard field goal. Hostetler will put it down at the 13. And the Colts came charging through and nearly got the block, but he boots it through. Eugene Daniels stretching out, nearly got a hand on it. So Sims guides them down for a field goal off the opening drive. And with 6:40 to go in the quarter, the Giants draw first blood.
For most of us, the only thing that's more fun than staying home to watch the game is going out to watch the game.
Yes, we did. Come on down. Yes, we did.
So come on down, catch the game with Budweiser, Bud Light, and Bud Dry. And enjoy all the action on and off the field.
Have mercy. You got it now.
From the Far East to Europe. Across the Caribbean and throughout North America, only one airline covers so much of the world with so much warmth.
If I owned a car company, first I'd snag the biggest office. Then build myself a sports sedan. I'd make the body aerodynamic. Like even the door handles would be cool. Then I'd give it a 16-valve engine. And just to cheese off the other car companies, I'd make my sports sedan affordable. Because I'm tired of the rich guys having all the fun.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Sentra, the first affordable sports sedan.
The Redskins want to stop the Eagles' flight. Oh, my rally friends are here on Monday night.
Opening drive for the Giants, 8 minutes, 20 seconds. And it results in a field goal by Barr, who will now kick off to Stacy Simmons and Albert Bentley as the Colts get the ball for the first time tonight. This is Bentley from the 1. And he slithers his way out to the 23-yard line. And here comes Jeff George. He started his college career at Purdue, transferred to Illinois, had one more year of eligibility, chose to come out. Colts made a big trade for him. And here he is now again a starter, despite the abdominal strain and the knee injury last week. And with him, Dickerson and Bentley, Hester and Brooks are the wideouts. Pat Beach is not only the only tight end in this set, he's the only tight end on the roster. The guys up front, Donaldson and Call in particular, have been very blunt about their relationship with Eric Dickerson, who was severely critical of the Colts offensive line in the offseason. And the Colts begin in the gun with 4 receivers as George throws, and it's Bill Brooks, who was shut out last week. He didn't catch a ball against Miami, and he catches one here as Myron Guyton makes the tackle. Now the Giants defense, which has been extraordinary this season. The 3 guys up front to start, Dorsey, Howard, and Washington. We'll also see a lot of Leonard Marshall. Cooks is a former Colt, Deossie Johnson and Taylor, with Carl Banks still on injured reserve. Collins and the former Cowboy Walls are the corners. Jackson and Guyton are the safeties. 2nd and 5. Colts from the 29-yard line, and Ron Meyer may be sending out a message with these first 2 plays tonight when everybody thought he'd keep it on the ground. He does here out of the gun with Dickerson, and a flag down as Eric gets to the 32-yard line. I think a lot of people rather surprised that Meyer comes out the gun on 1st and 2nd down tonight.
Well, he was pretty upfront with us in saying that he really didn't think that this man, Eric Dickerson, was going to be the guy to win the ball game tonight. In fact, he said,
holding number 62, offense.
That's Brian.
Still 2nd down.
That's Brian Baldinger, who ends up getting flagged for the hold, and Indianapolis starts off with a couple of decent plays, and now they're backed up. But Ron Meyer told us that he really only expected Dickerson to see 10 or 14 carries tonight. He knows that there's no way that with his line and his running game that he's going to stuff it down the Giants' throat. If they're going to win tonight, it's going to be out of this formation with number 11 throwing the seed.
2nd and 15 from the 19-yard line. And open underneath is Brooks, and Brooks gets taken down by Collins and Jackson out at the 26-yard line, and so it will be 3rd down and 7.
Giants in with 5 defensive backs, and this is customary. Lawrence Taylor is used to it. He gets the double team everywhere he goes. He picks it up here. He gets Bentley the back, and Dayfrost Moss, the tackle, both working on Lawrence Taylor. But that's nothing new. He gets it every game.
3rd down and 7. Colts have run every play out of the shotgun. Giants lead 3-0. 4.5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. They have to get to the 34 for a first down, and it goes right through the hands of Bentley, who would have been short of the first down anyway. He was covered by Renee Thompson. So the Colts are forced to kick, and the Giants will get the ball back with 4.5 minutes remaining in the quarter. Ron Stark, one of the very best in the league for years. In fact, a good punting duel looms tonight. Stark and Sean Landetta.
This man you took a look at, Dave Meggett, leads the National Football League in punt return.
And Meggett from the 29-yard line eludes a tackle and makes something out of nothing as he takes it back to the 42. Just about his average return. 13-yard run back after a 44-yard kick. Giants have it. 4:16 left in the quarter.
AT&T, the right choice. The NFL record for interceptions in one game is 4, held by many players, including one who accomplished the feat in a Monday night game. Who is that player? Johnny Robinson of the Chiefs, Ken Easley of the Seahawks, or Dick Anderson of the Dolphins? Which would you choose?
When? Friday? You're kidding. We're getting company from Russia.
Order me some Russian flags. 1,500. I'll make it 2,500.
And we're bringing into Hamilton on this one. Прибудьте для значения того события, которое...
In a 1973 game versus the Steelers, Dick Anderson intercepted a record-tying 4 passes. If you said Anderson, you made the right choice.
If I owned a car company, first I'd snag the biggest office. Then build myself a sports sedan. I'd make the body aerodynamic. Like even the door handles would be cool. Then I'd give it a 16-valve engine. And just to choose off the other car companies, I'd make my sports sedan affordable. Because I'm tired of the rich guys having all the fun.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Sentra, the first affordable sports sedan.
I don't think
I want to be your governor.
I want to be governor.
I won't vote for congressional...
Make sense of it all with Jennings and Brinkley. ABC News election night.
College football doubleheader coming your way this week. Can Iowa go to the Rose Bowl? Well, if the Hawkeyes can win 2 of their remaining 3, they will. You'll see them host Ohio State. And in the second half of the double dip, UCLA against Washington. The Huskies are now second in the country back of Notre Dame, and they already have clinched a Rose Bowl berth this Saturday. Here are the Giants from the 42-yard line. Sims on first down, dumps it off to Anderson with a lot of blocking. And O.J. takes it to the 45 of Indianapolis. A 13-yard gain. Daniel makes the stop.
Well, you knew with Otis Anderson in the backfield on first down, if it's a running play, they were going to hand it to him. And if they were going to throw the ball, chances are they were going to throw it to him as well. Look at the timing. The patience of Anderson remaining in there, staying hidden in the backfield, and then going to the middle of the field. You saw right there he had a choice. Do I take it to the sidelines, or do I just move upfield and pick up positive yardage? Well, that's a decision Anderson will always make to go upfield.
1st and 10. Anderson again for 5 functional yards to the 40. It'll be 2nd and 5. And this is the same blueprint the Giants have used all season, Frank.
And it's Anderson, and he's kind of amazing. At 33 years old, he can do this. Against the Redskins last week, at one point the Redskins brought it to 14-10, and then all of a sudden they punted the Giants deep into their own territory to the 1. They gave the ball to Anderson 6 consecutive times until he got close to midfield.
And his running is the reason you see that 10 consecutive wins down there.
Those are regular season wins. There was 1 playoff loss thrown in there to the Rams in overtime. Here's Anderson on 2nd and 5. And this time the Colts are able to stop him. Harrod and Keith Taylor in on the hit at the 40-yard line. make it to 39. It'll be 3rd and 4.
With the combination once again of Meggett and Rodney Hampton coming in for the Giants, the Colts will bring out a couple of extra defensive backs. And if the Giants can either run out of this from a setback field with Hampton and Meggett, or they can use them as the 4 wide receivers.
You saw Manuel come in with a play. He's in the slot to the right. Ingram outside on the right. Baker to the left, and Hampton in motion out of the gun. And they keep it on the ground and give it to Meggett. And Meggett squirts forward and picks up the first down as he gets to the 32. Harrod makes the stop.
Meggett is 5'7", 180 pounders. And if you haven't seen him that much, they test these things with football players. Now he weighs 180 pounds, and he tested out at 4% body fat. He is very small but very strong. We talked about him with Ron Meyer last night. He looked at us and quietly said, Meggett is good, real good. And he has been so effective over the past couple of weeks.
From the 32-yard line, the fake to Carson. And then Sims floats one perfectly to the 15-yard line to Dave Meggett.
We're seeing a lot of Dave Meggett. And the Giants have been seeing a lot of him over the past couple of weeks. A moment ago, carried the ball over on the right side. That time, little flare, split the zone of the Colts and was wide open. Good pass by Phil Sims with plenty of protection. Behind one and in front of another.
Perfect touch. Sims has already thrown for 100 yards tonight. He is 7 of his first 8. Under a minute to play in the quarter. Giants leading 3-0. First down. Here's Anderson behind Carson to the 8-yard line. He is stopped by Tony Siragusa. Fast quarter, but nothing new for the Giants, who have not played a 3-hour game this year.
I don't think we've had one under 3 hours here on Monday night this year. You know, we talk about Otis Anderson so much, but right now the guys in the blue shirts, namely the Indianapolis Colts defensive line, they are getting blown off the line of scrimmage. Something that happened to them last week in their game against Miami. But right now, this group up front, Roberts and Oates and Moore and Riesenberg and Kratch, they are just moving the Colts off at will.
Well, the Giants played the first quarter in fast forward. 15 minutes gone. New York on top 3-0 and threatening. And back we come with Monday Night Football after this commercial message and a word from our ABC station.
Barbecue? Come on, it's practically winter. Baggett? McDonald's? Hey, McRib. Now you're talking. Fries? And a Coke? Tell me more. A McRib pack. We'll take 4. Better hurry, huh? McRib.
McDonald's for food, folks and fun show.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. On November 10th, the United States Marine Corps celebrates the birth date of its proud and distinguished history. History that will be remembered for that elite corps of men who made it, the Marines. We're looking for a few good men.
America's watching ABC.
Now that he's running for a 4th term, Controller Ned Regan wants us to forget he favored higher taxes. Forget that Regan lied about Westchester's fiscal crisis. Forget that Regan's Controller's office is the most scandal-ridden in memory. Forget that he lost millions investing our money out of state in risky real estate, and that he gave our money to leveraged buyout artists who used junk bonds. So on Tuesday, don't forget to vote against Ned Regan and vote for Carol Bellamy. We need her to watch them.
John Johnson in Saudi Arabia reports from the front after the game.
There are the numbers. The only time you ever want to see a 0 on your side is under turnovers. I can't recall seeing that. No first downs, no rushing yards for the Colts.
Well, Ron Meyer told us he didn't expect to win the game running the football. I see that stat is borne out right there. This could be tough for the men in blue if they don't batten the hatches now.
2nd and 4 as we start the second quarter. The Giants from the 8, and it's Anderson who gets to the outside and is just short of the first down, and a flag is thrown for a possible face mask infraction.
Well, it'll be a face mask if Otis makes the call. You could see him beseeching the referee that someone grabbed his face mask. Chip Banks was the linebacker to that side who made the initial.
Face mask. Number 51. Incidental.
Watch Banks there, number 51. Let's see. Yeah, you can see the left hand right there on the face mask. He gets the incidental variety, which is only a 5-yarder, but it moves the sticks halfway down to the goal line. Chip Banks, formerly with San Diego, an all-pro player prior to his arrival here in Indianapolis. Right now, though, the line of scrimmage is being owned by these guys. They are just dominating and erasing the Colt defense at the line.
1st and goal, New York from the 2. Anderson. And he is in there. Touchdown. Late signal by the official, but Anderson breaks the plane, and the Giants lead 9-0.
Just as you said it, Dan, they blew right back into the end zone.
Number 75 for Otis, and he moves past Leroy Kelly and Earl Campbell into spot number 9 in NFL history in that category.
Here's Anderson again, just zone blocking straight ahead on the part of the Giants, and then Anderson just surges ahead, gets into the end zone, made it look awfully easy.
The way this game's going, he may get number 76 and number 77, and outside chance at number 78.
Matt Barr kicks it through, and so the Giants march all the way down the field after taking the punt. Anderson scores from the 2, and just like that, in the opening seconds of the second quarter, 10-0 Gotham.
When you drive by the statues and memorials, you may start to cry. And there's a White House in this city, and we always get to choose the person who lives in it. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, all across America. And every day, with every car nationwide, only Alamo gives you all those miles for free, including the 1,100 miles in a city called Washington, in a district called Columbia, in a country we call ours.
Nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. The one and only. The clean, the crisp, the cold. The king of beers.
Nothing beats the bud. Nothing beats the king of beers. Nothing beats the Budweiser. Nothing beats the Bud.
Whenever my brother Tom and his friends had to decide what game to watch on TV, it was a toss-up.
Heads or tails?
Heads. Then Tom got smart.
Very smart.
He got this Magnavox TV with a built-in smart window, so Killer could watch football on the main screen.
Without getting mad when Stork and I check out basketball on the smart window.
You might say Magnavox saved your friendship, Tom.
You could actually say it saved my life.
Magnavox. Smart choice. Very smart.
The UCLA Bruins beat number 2 Washington. It's an ABC college football doubleheader Saturday.
Back at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and we're going to visit with a very special guest in just a couple of minutes as the Giants lead 10-0, and Barr's kick is a good, deep one. Bentley's going to run it out from 3 yards in. And back he comes only to the 12, and so the Colts begin deep in their own territory, and the Giants' main man on special teams, Renee Thompson, makes the tackle. We'll talk to the Vice President, Dan Quayle, when we come back.
Introducing the new Dodge Shadow America and Plymouth Sundance America. Perfect cars for an imperfect world. To help protect you in an accident, they have driver's airbags. To protect you in an oil shortage, they have excellent gas mileage. And to protect you in a tight economy, they're the lowest priced American cars. Sundance America. Shadow America. Making the world a little less imperfect.
Some people see shaving as something you do for 3 minutes a day. At Braun, we see it as something you do for a lifetime. And we think you should make the best of it. The Braun Shaver, with its 3 shaving positions. Designed for those who choose to make a virtue out of necessity. Braun, the world's #1 selling foil shaver.
We built this business
To help ensure your dreams.
built this business.
To make you feel safe and secure.
We built this business to build your future.
ITC built these businesses into leaders. We built them by taking care of people.
We built this business. We built this business to build your dreams. Built this business.
The way we look at it, you can never have enough analysts. So the Vice President, Dave Quayle, has joined us. What did you think of the first quarter?
Well, it's all New York Giants. What can I say? But the Indianapolis Colts, they may be able to come back, but what you're seeing out there is a really tough New York Giants. They've been that way all season, so it could be a long night for the Colts, but let's hope not. Let's hope it's a good game.
Your heart is still with the Colts, I take it, right?
I have to say my heart is with the Colts, but my mind is to say I'm for neither. Have to be neutral in this, but I think everybody knows where my heart is. It's in Indiana.
We're going to pick up with the play, but first of all, you have been a long-time fan of the Colts. We were talking to the Ursies today, and they said they recall you when you're just a little fellow.
Not only just a little fellow, but I used to remember Johnny Unitas and the people of the Baltimore Colts quite well.
Unfortunately, I remember them too.
Different context.
Here's Dickerson picking up about 4 as he gets it out to the 16-yard line. It's remarkable what this city has done, though, and you've watched the transition from a town that would only host the 500 as its only prime sports event to what it's become now.
Well, what is so great about this, it's a family affair. You'll have 60,000 screaming Hoosiers here, but it's amazing on how many people that you'd know. As I was walking up the bleachers to get to the mayor's suite, I saw literally hundreds of people that I had seen throughout the years. And so it's just like coming home and being part of a football family, and we're glad that you're here this evening.
Mm-hmm. Home is a little northeast of here. Huntington, correct?
Huntington, up around Fort Wayne, Indiana. Those of us from Huntington say that Fort Wayne is a suburb of Huntington, but Fort Wayne is the major metropolitan area in northeast Indiana.
Mr. Vice President, if you had a chance to go down on the field tonight, if you had to pick a position, what would you like to play?
I'd like to play in. I used to have fairly good hands when I played a little bit of football a couple years in high school. That's a safe position. It's a lot of fun. You can do some scoring.
But now you have to get off the line and into your pattern. And when you catch that ball, you see number 56, Lawrence Taylor, coming at you. Your strategy?
No. My strategy is to avoid number 56. I would line up on the opposite side of the field of him and stay there.
You'd negotiate with him.
I wouldn't negotiate. I don't want to talk to him.
Here's a 3rd and 3 play, and the Colts are able to pick up a first down as George hits Hester for a first down out at the 29. Have you had a chance to see Jeff George much this year?
I have not seen him that much, but I have to tell you, I helped recruit Jeff George to go to Purdue. He lasted about 1 year, but I called him on a Sunday morning after Purdue was the only Indiana school left in the contention. And I got him out of bed at 10 a.m. He's a little groggy. Asked him to go to Purdue. He said, I'll think about it. And a week or 10 days later, he decided to go to Purdue, but I don't really think it's because the senator from Indiana called him. I think he had other things on his mind.
Did he send you a campaign contribution after that contract he signed?
No, but I'll tell you what, he's on the list.
On first down, here's Dickerson picking up about 3. You know, Mr. Vice President, I'm a little concerned about your golf game. I understand the White House isn't too good for it. You've gone from a scratch to about a 5?
Well, it's between 5 and 7. I can still hit the little white pill, as we say, from the tee to the green. But, Frank, you know, when you get on the green, the nerves come in, and unfortunately, yips take over. And let's not talk about it. Let's talk about football. my golf game used to be quite good. It's in the category of also ran.
If I was a 5 handicap, I'd talk about my golf game all I could. He's a 15, and he talks about it incessantly.
Second down and 6 for Indianapolis. Giants on top 10-0 from the 33-yard line. As George gets sacked back at the 26-yard line, and that's going to be 3rd and 13. So, Mr. Vice President, we'll make you the coach here. 3rd and 13. What's your call?
3rd and 13. Don't punt. Go for it. I'd say a little down and out pattern. And Jeff George, he throws well to the outside. as well as in the inside. But I think a little down and out pattern. Let's see what happens.
All right, we'll watch for Billy Brooks.
Billy Brooks or Hester. Kenny Wolfhard, maybe we'll give Mr. Vice President a shot at the telestrator here. We'll let him do a play, maybe. What do you think? How's your artwork? You want to draw a play after this?
Well, I might be able to. I'm not so sure how good my artwork is, but I know where the positions are on the field.
All right, let's watch his play here.
Okay.
All right, he's liable to slip in and get out the vote. 3rd and 13 from the 26-yard line, and on a draw, it's Bentley. Well, Mr. Vice President, there was a sign a few weeks ago that said, Deerdorf, get a job, and if you're real good at this, he may have to get one.
Hey, if you listen to that response, I think the crowd was for the quail option. That was down and out and try to do something rather than running up the middle with 3rd and 13.
Yeah, that was such an ordinary play. That wouldn't have challenged you, I don't think.
I'm not so sure. You know, my kids have that NFL football on the computer. And I play with them every once in a while, and I usually pick the runs rather than the passes, and I score more running than the passing, but not on NFL. Real football, you better pass.
Well, here is the punt that you eschewed on 3rd down, but on 4th, the Colts are compelled to kick as Stark puts it in the air, and a fair catch is called for and made by Meggett at the 26-yard line. And, Mr. Vice President, we thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it. And welcome to Indianapolis. Welcome to the Hoosier Dome.
Thank you, sir.
People here love you.
Thanks for being with us. Great to be back.
You do a great job.
Thank you.
Big fan of all of you. Thank you.
We'll be back.
There are those who thirst for something different, something beyond the ordinary. For them, there is a beer that refreshes like no other. Michelob Dry. Once you've experienced its bold taste, with no aftertaste, there's no going back.
These folks got to be proud. You see, for 7 years now, everybody's been trying to beat the minivan we built here. But nobody's been able to do it. So we did. We rounded the corners and lowered the front end. We redesigned the interior and added rear seat shoulder restraints. And you can get anti-lock brakes and all-wheel drive. Now the competition can stop wasting their time trying to copy our old minivan and start wasting their time trying to copy our new one.
By 10:30 tomorrow morning, one company will guarantee delivery of your overnight air packages to more people, places, and businesses than anyone else in the business. UPS introduces 10:30 a.m. guaranteed overnight air delivery. 62,000 trucks. You're waiting.
The biggest names in men's tennis take center court in a $500,000 showdown. Tots presents the Tennis Shootout, Sunday on ABC Sports.
And back we come to the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. It's been all Giants so far. They lead 10-0. It's 1st and 10 New York from their own 26-yard line. As the Colts have been unable to get anything going, and the Giants have had 2 long drives, resulting in a field goal and a touchdown. And here is Lewis Tillman, who has been seldomly used in the last few weeks after the Giants ran him a lot in the first 3 weeks. Young and Taylor converge on the tackle. And ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers, where you get the advantage. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. 9:39 remaining, and that is not a very bright scenario or sight for the Giants as Mark Bavaro gets helped off. And we will check on his condition post-haste as Carthen takes it out to the 36-yard line, close to a first down. And, Frank, it's quite clear that the Giants are a different team when that man is healthy and in there.
Boy, that's not a good sign, Frank, with the knee pad up in the air. That's Dr. Russell Warren, the Giants orthopedist, and the trainer, Ronnie Barnes, looking at that knee. And, of course, if you talk to the Giants, they'll all tell you when you ask them what do they need to go all the way, they always get around to saying, well, we need Mark Bavaro at 100%. He has not been 100% yet. He's very close to it, but now I'm sure there are some sinking feelings on that sideline.
1st and 10 from the 36. And a gain of about 7 for Dave Meggett. Mike Pryor.
Well, I'll tell you, this little man, as we watched him this evening, is really emerging as a great part of the Giants' offense. He can work as a wide receiver from the backfield. He can be in the slot. He can do just about anything you ask him to do. More than that, he's leading the league in punt returns and a good kickoff return man. What an athlete.
You know, Frank, you hear his name mentioned a lot of times with Eric Metcalf, the back with Cleveland. One of the things you see Meggett do so well, he runs between the tackles. He may be small, but yet he challenges for the tough yardage inside.
2nd and 2 from the 44. Play clock down to 3. Sims buys a little more time and then converts as he hits Bob Morosco, the Plan B pickup from the Houston Oilers when they went to the run and shoot in Houston. Morosco didn't have a home anymore and opted to sign with the Giants.
He started for them down there, and actually the Giants have 2 other tight ends. Of course, Bavaro on the bench now, but Howard Cross and Morosco, and Cross is a terrific blocker, as is Morosco. But the man who can get you the big play and has done it so many times over the years is Mark Bavaro, and they're looking at him on the bench now, looking at his knee.
Sims, 8 of 9 for 116 yards. First down at the 40. And here is Tillman picking up a couple, and Bavaro back in. So Mark Bavaro, it was a most anxious moment for every Giant fan to see him with that knee pad raised on the bench, but back in.
But more than that, the way he left the field, it looked as though it was some kind of a serious injury. You don't like to speculate, Dan, but you've had a knee surgery, and every now and then when you stretch it a little more, maybe you pull a little adhesion or something like that, it scares you more than anything.
That was obvious because you could see the grimacing on the part of Bavaro, but on the toughness meter, he's off of it.
2nd and 7, 6:20 to go in the half. Sims dumps it out to Tillman, and he gets hit hard by Chip Banks at the 39-yard line.
Well, I'll say this about Chip Banks. He's one of the few Colts that's playing much of a game so far defensively. I mean, this has been a relatively lame effort by Indianapolis on the line of scrimmage. Chip Banks has been in there making some tackles. He did get called for the face mask, but this is a pathetic pass rush to this point in time being offered up by Indianapolis. They aren't getting off the line of scrimmage. They aren't getting anywhere close to Phil Sims, a random shot now and then. Let's see if they can put some pressure on here.
3rd and 8, and again, here's where the Colts have been so vulnerable all season. 3rd and long, and it's continued tonight. And this time they're able to break the play up. It's a deflection. There's a flag down. All kinds of action. Taylor was the guy who popped Mark Ingram, and then the ball floated back toward the line of scrimmage as a flag was thrown for the contact.
Defensive pass interference, number 27.
And it's Steve Taylor for the defensive pass interference, and again, the Colts yield a 3rd and long.
Taylor getting into Ingram before the ball. He tried to time it out and draws the pass interference. Interesting piece at halftime coming up on Ron Meyer, the Colts quarterback. We had him mic'd for last week's game against Miami as we go back and look at Ingram, who is another rapidly developing Giant. And you can see Taylor banged him on the head before the ball even was near his hand.
1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. Sims off a roll. Bavaro is the open man, and he takes it to the 20 on a similar type of play. They exploited that same pattern for a touchdown last week against Washington.
Mark Bavaro, so many teams will still try to cover him with the linebacker. Here he comes in with a little block, spins to the outside. Obviously, Banks, number 51, the linebacker, is assigned to him, at least in the short part of the zone. And Sims with the little roll puts it right in his hand.
Well, I think, Frank, one of the reasons that Mark Bavaro is so difficult to cover by a linebacker is they respect that inside move he makes like he's down blocking, because Mark Bavaro for a couple of years was the best blocking tight end I saw in the National Football League. You have to honor that block.
Sims 148 straight passes without an INT, and here's a first down and a lot more. It'll be 1st and goal as Lewis Tillman takes it to the 2.
If you watch Tillman, he, of course, was the one who broke so many of Walter Payton's records out of Jackson State a few years ago. You realize the wonderful problems that Bill Parcells has. Now, Tillman has not played that much over the past couple of weeks. And you can see right here, he's a first-class running back. Meanwhile, on the bench is your #1 draft pick, Rodney Hampton, and we already have watched what Otis Anderson can do. And then you got Dave Meggett. Not bad problems.
Oh, and they're all, I think they're all just dying for a shot at this defense.
Well, look what Miami did to him last week. Same thing. First and goal from the 3. Here is Anderson, and he gets in for the touchdown.
I think your "Do you believe in miracles" line is safe, Al.
Yep, well, the Colts don't have Michael Ruzioni.
No. You talked about Miami. Of course, the Dolphins trounced the Colts last week. Earlier in the year, the Giants beat the Dolphins 20-3, and they held Miami to under 40 yards rushing. Last week against this Colts defense, Miami rushed for over 200 yards. So lots of problems for Ron Meyer.
76th rushing touchdown of Anderson's career ties him with Pete Johnson, and he's one behind Tony Dorsett. Barr's extra point is good. Otis tonight, 10 carries for 34 yards. Gets in twice, and the Gents lead 17-0.
Second effort again. Otis straightened up right at the goal line and just surges into the end zone to put the 6 on the board.
IBM presents You Make the Call. On 3rd down and goal with 1 minute left, Don Mikowski of the Packers passes to Perry Kemp, who is hit at the 1-yard line and fumbles into the end zone, where another Packer recovers. Now you make the call. Is this a touchdown?
You always said you'd buy a home computer if it were easy to use, yet powerful so you could bring work home. If it were priced right, easy to set up, and came with popular options already included. And of course, it would have to be made by the right company. Introducing the IBM PS1, a new kind of computer from IBM. With PS1, IBM brings it all home.
What call did you make? In the last 2 minutes of either half, a fumble into the end zone may be recovered only by the player who fumbled. Packers ball at the 1.
Introducing the new Dodge Shadow America and Plymouth Sundance America. Perfect cars for an imperfect world. To help protect you in an accident, they have driver's airbags. To protect you in an oil shortage, they have excellent gas mileage. To protect you in a tight economy, they're the lowest priced American cars. Sundance America. Shadow America. Making the world a little less imperfect.
It was a mystery that captured the imagination of the whole country. And Saturday, the killer of Laura Palmer will finally be revealed. Really? Twin Peaks, Saturday.
Giants on top 17-0. Rarely are games played exactly as they figure to be played, but this is the game.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Well, it was, I used the word lame, and that pretty well describes the effort that the Colts turned in last week against the Dolphins. And not often in this league does a team do it twice in a row, but the Colts are on their way towards that dubious distinction so far.
Barr's kick, Stacy Simmons, the rookie, takes it from the 2 to about the 18. Well, tomorrow night, after all new episodes of Who's the Boss and Head of the Class, Roseanne's got PMS, and Dan's suffering the most on Roseanne. Then, right after Coach, ABC News tells you what happened. The 90 vote, all tomorrow night, election night on ABC. A week from tonight, November the 12th, we go to the Vet in Philadelphia, where the Eagles host the Redskins. Two teams buoyed yesterday by wins and great offensive performances.
Particularly by that man. Randall Cunningham. He rushed for 124 yards. Quarterback shouldn't do that. This is not the house of pain, but the house of frustration. And there's the man who presides over the Indianapolis Colts, Robert Irsay. Received a proclamation from the mayor at a gala luncheon today where we all had the opportunity to share lunch with the locals.
Well,
goes with their offense. That's, I think that's in intentional way of keeping the real score from being seen by the fans here in the Hoosier Dome.
This is the only thing that has slowed down the pace of this one tonight. There are the Giants whose games have been rapidly played. 2 hours, 48 minutes. As we said before, not one game this year over 3 hours. League average is just about the 3-hour mark this year.
Part of that, Al, I think the numbers that Steve Hurt came up with, the Giants' time of possession that they've had the lead is an incredible number. Only something over like, what, 85% or something that they have had the lead and constantly can dictate what goes on and what takes place on the field.
In very stark contrast to Indianapolis, do you realize the Colts this season, they played almost 7.5 games, which would be 450 minutes of football, and they have led for 21 minutes. And they're the Giants who have trailed only about a tenth of the time. 1st and 10 from the 18. Jeff George pressured from the backside and just throws it away, ostensibly intended for Eric Dickerson on the screen. Terry Williams put on the charge that time.
Well, he should have thrown the ball away. Dickerson never got out. The mistake that George made was that he didn't throw it away far enough. Watch Eric Dickerson there at the top of your screen there to the right. He really gets out too late for Jeff George to get him the ball. And Lawrence Taylor chucked him and then kind of grabbed onto him, and that was it. But Jeff, Frank, almost made the mistake of not throwing it away far enough. That ball was nearly intercepted. So the worst of the worst is happening to Jeff George. They're trailing by 17 points. There's Joe Ferguson, his 40-year-old backup over on the sidelines, who's going, "Go, Jeff, go."
Yep.
Hang in there, young man. You need the learning experience. And I don't want to go in until Lawrence Taylor goes out.
Pat Leahy, the Jets kicker, was very happy when Ferguson got signed. He's no longer the oldest player in the league at 39. Meanwhile, the clock is malfunctioning.
Well, you called disappearing from the scoreboard malfunctioning. Of course, the clock is officially maintained on the field.
So that was the reason for the momentary delay. As the first half winds down, 2nd and 10. Indianapolis from the 18. George hit as he throws and got it there, but it was dropped by Jesse Hester, who was surrounded by a quartet of Giants and heard 8 feet.
One of them, linebacker Pepper Johnson, also back there. Pepper having a big year at inside linebacker for the Giants. Good pass defender. He was back there helping out in that zone, and here comes the blitz. Giants bringing Renee Thompson and forcing George to throw it in there. Actually, he had the receiver open for just a moment. He had to deliver it a little earlier than he wanted to. What a year Thompson's having.
3rd down and 10. Indy from the 18.
That's 7 defensive backs out there.
And George going deep for Brooks and incomplete. And Brooks winds up playing defensive back because the pass was almost picked off by Mark Collins.
It's a good thing that Billy Brooks is faster than Mark Collins, because he was able to catch up to him, and break up would have been a sure interception by Collins.
And perfect position by the Pro Bowler. Mark Collins, you don't hear all that much of him, but you usually don't see a team try to challenge him either, because they get that kind of coverage more often than not.
Ron Stark to kick. Dave Meggett has to back up.
What a punt.
Beauty. 29-yard line. And Meggett. And another typically Meggett-type return. He came into the game averaging 13.5 a run back. That one 14 after a 53-yard punt. Clock still not working, but about 2.5 to go in the half. 17-0 Giants.
Dodge led the way. They were the innovator. The rest of them were trying to catch up.
Steve and Linda Little came home from Honda. Jan Garnett came home from Nissan.
They put the customer in mind when they've made it.
Dodge Caravan, now redesigned and made safer than ever with ABS brakes and all-wheel drive. So it appears we will own roads and hearts for years to come.
A lot of things came close, but nothing was a Caravan.
Welcome home, America. Come see what we're made of.
Barbecue. Summer's over. Bag it. McDonald's? Hey, McRib. Let's see. McDonald's! Oh, the Don Sean.
I get up, I feel like an old man. I'm stiff, I'm sore, I can't bend over.
Today, for backache pain, it isn't aspirin or Tylenol. It's Advil.
I take some Advil first thing, I feel like a new man.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
There are those who thirst for something different. Something beyond the ordinary. For them, there is a beer that refreshes like no other. Michelob Dry. Once you've experienced its bold taste with no aftertaste, there's no going back.
NFC East rivals collide. The Washington Redskins lead their posse into Philadelphia to meet Randall Cunningham and the Eagles next week on ABC's Monday Night Football.
2 minutes and 38 seconds remaining in the first half in Indianapolis, where all is quiet. Giants lead 17-0, and they have it at their own 43-yard line. Sims with a deep drop and sets up the screen. Dave Meggett, who can make things happen, takes it out to the 49-yard line. He is tackled by Chris Good.
The thing you like about Meggett is that everything with him is a burst. Everything is a quick, sharp, powerful movement. Not a moment of indecision when he runs the ball. As you can see, it's been nothing but points for the Giants tonight in their first half possessions. And quite the contrary with Indianapolis.
2nd and 5. Maurice Carthen takes the ball across the midfield stripe, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Clock working again. It comes with 1:56 remaining in the half. 17-0. Giants.
New Britain, Connecticut is 119 miles from New York City. It only seems farther than that. People here live in the same houses their parents lived in, worship in churches where their grandparents worshipped, and work for the company their great-grandfathers built, the Stanley Works. So it's not surprising Stanley tools are made to last. It would only be surprising if they weren't.
For me, it's the perfect truck.
Jim Oddballs had a Ford Ranger.
It will handle a load. It will get up and move.
Brian Thompson came home from Toyota.
I like the Dodge Dakota the best.
The mid-sized Dakota, now available with V8 power for less money than a 4-liter V6 Ford Ranger.
There's no substitute for cubic inches.
Welcome home, America. Come see what we're made of.
I bought the Dodge. Just feels like quality.
Get total savings up to $29.95 on Dodge Dakota.
The Craves, identical twins who rose from poverty to power. They used glamour, sex, and fear to build an empire. 4 stars, stunning and compelling. The Craves. Rated R starts this Friday.
Bloopers happen in football, and they can happen to your hair when using a woman's hairspray. Consort is made especially for men. Consort keeps your hair looking full because its extra fine mist won't weigh hair down. Do it right with Consort.
The Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, very quiet. This is the 4th straight home game the Colts have played. Majority of the second half of the season to be played on the road, so things are not going to get better for Indy.
Think about this Giants team as a tribute not only to Bill Parcells, but to George Young, the general manager. They have 8 number 1s on the roster. They have 11 players that were taken in the 2nd and 3rd round, and 5 starters that were stars, former stars on other teams. Great mix.
3rd and a long 2, and it's too high for Rodney Hampton, who can't handle it. Crowd finally has something to cheer about as Giants have a 4th down.
Bill Parcells will let you know his feelings. He doesn't hold anything back.
They're for the Taskmasters. Sean Landeta having a terrific season. The punt. First time we've seen him tonight. Mike Pryor drops back for Indy. Colts are lined up as if they're expecting a giant face here. Landeta gets the kick away, and a fair catch is called for by Pryor at the 11-yard line. Meanwhile, take a look what we have on tape for you here, and you can see where Parcells will let you know what he thinks, and so will Phil Simms.
They have a great relationship, and Parcells jumps all over all the Giants, but watch this now. Phil Simms apparently didn't feel he was wrong, and he gets right in Parcells' face now and explains his point of view. And we'll leave out all the adjectives, but this is a pretty hot conversation. And Bill Parcells will tell you, I get on all the players, but I can do that because I get on the stars the most. I get on Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor as much or more than any other player in the field, and you just saw a good example of it there.
Best example I've seen. Flags before the snap on first down from the 12.
Ball starts, number 71, offense, still first down.
Kevin Cole.
Talked about those draft picks of George Young over the years. The first player he ever drafted was Phil Simms, and now we're going to kiss and make up, I think, on the sideline. There's a great relationship between these two. This is good.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Bill. Yeah, you're right too, Bill. It's okay.
Love you. First and 15 from the 6. Dickerson takes the handoff, and the $10 million man brings it out to the 11-yard line to a chorus of boos. If you're just tuning in, those guys are winning 17-0. Second and 11. And there is a bareback ride by Jackson on Bentley and no flag.
Well,
I mean, he looked like Lafitte Pinkai on that one.
Maybe that was ruled uncatchable, too, but it didn't look like that. Lafitte Pinkai. Well, I guess Angel Cordero Jr. was on the other side of the field.
Riding a Colt.
Oh, so early for that sort of stuff.
Yes, it is. Well, Dan and I are leaving at the half.
Well, I guess I'm like everyone else wondering where was the flag.
Third and 11 from the 11, and they keep it on the ground, and Bentley takes it to the 15, and this sellout crowd has just about run out of patience.
Well, granted, the Giants have an extraordinary defensive team, but you're going to have to throw the ball to win. Now we have an official stoppage down on the field.
And we have a timeout with 47 seconds remaining in the half.
Now, Norelco has taken a razor that was seemingly perfect and made it better by giving you a new level of closeness without giving up any of our legendary comfort. Norelco's patented lift and cut system has been improved to lift each hair and cut it even closer without the blades touching your skin, giving you an even closer shave with the same incredible comfort. The new Norelco, a whole new level of closeness and comfort.
The reason for the stoppage, they reset the clock and they put 19 ticks back on for the Giants. It said 47. It goes to 106. Stark the punt. Meggett will field at about his 36-yard line. And Dave brings it back to the 44. The Giants have 2 timeouts remaining. And we have 50 seconds according to the clock, which has been malfunctioning throughout the second quarter.
Everything obviously resolved.
Colts hopes, like the scoreboard, go a-flickering here with 50 seconds to go. Ron Meyer, who was mic'd last week. Interesting feature for you. And we'll talk about, among other things, Bud Carson is out as the coach of the Cleveland Browns, if you've not heard today, and Jim Schaffner takes over for the balance of the season after the Browns were destroyed yesterday by Buffalo, and their mark is now 2-7.
Ron Meyer in that game against Miami, you'll see how tough it is on a coach when he not only loses his starting quarterback, but moments later he loses his backup quarterback, and that's exactly what happened down in Miami. Been a tough year for these Indianapolis Colts. The long and, of course, very widely reported holdout of Eric Dickerson, their star, and a couple of their defensive stars who also held out. John Hand right up to the beginning of the season and into the season. Jeff Herod, the linebacker. They ended the season in disarray.
Yep.
And having a tough time pulling it together.
Giants dominating in every phase and facet of the game. Giants have one timeout remaining. Colts with a sole first down in this half. Giants trying to wrap it up by halftime as Sims has it deflected and intercepted. And finally something to cheer about as Mike Pryor takes it off the deflection by Keith Taylor. Intended for Mark Bavaro. Keith Taylor tipped it, and a little skirmish along the Giants bench. Flag is down as well.
And they're going to pick that up, so obviously against the Giants, the Colts will take over, but the skirmish on the sideline continues.
Holding, offense, number 16. Decline, first down.
Number what? Number 16. That's Frank Gifford.
Number 16, holding offense. Watch Sims. He tried to squeeze that into that zone. Sometimes Phil gets a little too confident with his own ability, and he tried to squeeze that into Bavaro, and I did not hold. I've done a lot of things, but I think he meant number 60. In any event, it'll turn over to the Colts.
I mean, if there's another 16 in a white shirt, we've got a big scoop.
Maybe we ought to go back and replay that opening.
Cody Gifford. First down from the 30. Jeff George. And it's incomplete, intended for Albert Bentley.
Cody will do nothing that will require a mouthpiece. Those are orders.
He's working with the croquet mallet right now, right?
Working with his agent. He won't even take our calls. We're starring in that new movie, 3 Men and a Baby. Starring Frank, Al, Dan, and Cody playing in an NFL city near you.
Philadelphia next Monday.
I'd like to see you change him, Dan. I've done it before.
2nd and 10 from the 30-yard line. Here's Bentley. And he's taken down at the 37-yard line by Everson Walls.
One of the problems Ray Meyer is confronted with now is Dickerson back. Bentley was the main man in the early going for the Colts, and he is a fine athlete. True, he's not the runner that Eric Dickerson was, but he's a good athlete that contributes, and he had to hope that Bentley, who all of a sudden with the return of Eric Dickerson, who had to take on a subordinated role, carrying the ball 4 or 5 times, where he'd been carrying it about 15 times a game, is going to go along with this. I mean, when you have an Eric Dickerson in your lineup, you have a totally different offense than you do with the Bentley and the 2-setback offense. When you have Dickerson in there, the whole offense is designed for him. And you have to hope that everyone's going to go along with that.
I go back to what I said, though, when we were here during preseason, Frank. I mean, I think he is such a detrimental influence to the team. I think the Colts tried to trade him, couldn't get what they wanted for him, were forced or compelled to sign him, and now they've got a $10 million deal, granted non-guaranteed. But I think they're in for a horrendously long year. 3rd down and 2 from the 38-yard line. This is the Colts' deepest penetration, if you can believe it. And a little looper to Dickerson. He breaks the tackle and then gets taken out of bounds short of the first down by Greg Jackson.
And he broke the tackle of one of the best around, Dave Dorson. So Eric Dickerson can do it. He'll give you the big play, but does he do it consistently like he used to when he was with the Rams? Everything was designed for him when he first came here. He took them to a division, but they designed the entire offense for Eric Dickerson. And it just, I don't think, is there either anymore when you design the whole thing for him. And when you get caught in the middle, I mean, you lose both ways.
Stark to kick. And Megan's just going to let it bounce. And the Colts will take any small victory in a storm, and they down it at the 3-yard line with just a few seconds remaining. Again, the clock has gone out. 58-yard punt, and the Giants take over deep in their own territory. Again, Washington against Philadelphia on Monday Night Football next week. Skins coming off that big comeback victory in overtime over Detroit yesterday, 41-38. And who will be the quarterback? Rutledge or Humphreys? And Griffin about ready to come back against the Eagles, where Randall Cunningham will guide Philly.
I read a quote from Joe Gibbs saying, I don't know how I can put him down after a performance like that. I don't either.
No, you can almost guarantee that Rutledge will be the starter.
There are 6 seconds remaining in the first half with the clock. This would have been about as fast a half as we've ever seen were it not for the clock problem tonight.
Monday night.
Yep. Where time stands still, and Sims downs it. Giants are very efficient and methodical and fruitful first half, as they are 30 minutes away from going 8-0 under the dome in the state capital of Indiana. Halftime, 17-0 Giants. We're back after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC station.
Here in Indianapolis, we have a proud history as a racing capital of the world. This was one of the fastest cars in 1912. Over the years, a lot of things have changed. Today, this car is winning at speeds of 200 miles an hour or more. I'm Dwayne Bickett of the Indianapolis Colts, and I want you to see something that we're really proud of here in Indianapolis. This is a Noble Center for Retarded Children and Adults. Jim Irsay, our team's general manager, is a member of the board here. Like every member of the Colts organization, he's involved because he cares.
It isn't just another agency or program to me. It's a chance to fulfill a personal commitment I have to our retarded citizens. When you put your mind as well as your heart into caring, you've got to ask the question, how can I help? What can I do? And the answer is here, through this United Way program. That's why our team and players like Dwayne give to United Way.
Because of United Way, it brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
And now, another Coach's Corner with Hayden Fox.
The Giants are really playing good ball this year. Even on the road, it'd be hard to pick against them.
Where's Luther?
Indianapolis. He's a special guest at the game tonight.
Wow. Watch Coach tomorrow at 9:30, 8:30 Central, after Roseanne.
High performance doesn't just happen. It takes an exceptional gasoline.
Stop at the green.
The new Hess detergent gasoline. An advanced detergent formula.
Stop.
With the power to clean fuel injectors, the power to protect precision valves. Performance tested, proven exceptional. The new Hess detergent gasoline.
Stop at the green.
Hess, power to perform.
People often ask me if I miss my old career as a basketball player. I tell them I don't really think about it anymore. Sure, I enjoyed the teamwork and the competition. It was great playing in the Olympics and winning a couple of championships with the Knicks, but it's all behind me now. Today, I'm working hard to master the complicated issues and be the best senator I can be.
John Johnson in Saudi Arabia reports from the front after the game.
The Toyota Halftime Report. Brought to you by your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Here now, Frank Gifford.
We're at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, the New York Giants and the Indianapolis Colts. We're at halftime. Well, this year has been a long one for Ron Meyer and his Indianapolis Colts. And last week, the Colts were thoroughly beaten by the Miami Dolphins. Now, in that game, we had the opportunity to eavesdrop on Ron, and I think as we spotlight Ron Meyer, you'll see that an NFL head coach has to be part strategist, motivator, cheerleader, and disciplinarian. And many times, even that is not enough, particularly when you lose your starting quarterback and your backup.
Where's Wedge here today?
Yeah, Tony's over there.
I didn't see him.
Tell him to get out of the hole.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Go now.
He did my high school games.
Oh,
you know that?
Right?
Yeah. 2,000 years ago.
Left kick.
Left
Okay.
now. You got that? What's your left hand? You got it. All right. All right. Let's go trips left and run a 90 because I want to run at those guys. I don't want to chase them down. No check with me. Just trips left, 90, and get it out of there. Does that make sense to everybody? Oh, no. He fumbled the ball. Who's got it? How many times I have to say quarterback center exchange? We can't even do the basics. What happened in there, Al? He just fumbled a snap?
I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
By the time I looked in there, he was scrambling for it.
Boy, oh boy. What a way to start a ball game. All right, let's go. Kevin, let's go now. Let's get this bunch rolling. This thing got a lot of football to play. Come on, come here, come here. Look, tuck your shirt in, look and bounce around, look like a player now, okay, buddy? And let's make some plays, all right? Come on, get a turnover, get a turnover. No, get a turnover. Turnover, turnover. Run! Knock it out of there! Oh, he got it. Ball! Pick it up and go! Ball! Go! 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 Yeah! All right, Chip. Yes, sir. Hold it in the air. Oh, Mike! God dang, Mike! God almighty! Get up the field. Get up the field. Go! 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 Jeff, now listen, be smart out there and don't try to sing you got to score once before you score twice. Secondly, don't get yourself hurt. Is he hurt too? Is his leg? Is his knee? Okay. Oh. Nice game, Bob. Team really played well. Good luck to you. All right.
I see you've selected the ultimate adventure. Vehicle preference?
Toyota 4x4, the black one.
Excellent choice. Oh no, we've lost another one.
A 1991 Toyota 4x4. The ultimate adventure.
Saturday, it's a doubleheader on ABC's college football. First, Big Ten leader Iowa will try to keep their Rose Bowl hopes alive as they host the Buckeyes from Ohio State. Then a Pac-10 matchup follows as the UCLA Bruins take on the conference champion number 2 Washington. The race to the Rose Bowl continues Saturday on ABC Sports.
Back at the Hoosier Dome, the Giants dominating the Indianapolis Colts at halftime 17-0. Well, yesterday it happened this morning. However, whatever it is, Bud Carson is gone from the Cleveland Browns after a year and 9 games, and he has been replaced by Jim Schaffner, a former Brown, and the offensive coordinator. And you have to feel this was a tough decision. We were in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago. A very tough decision for owner Art Modell, and very, I'd say almost devastating for Bud Carson. His first head coaching job, he got at the age of 59, and now he's gone.
And not often, Frank, do you see a coach lead a team into a championship game one year, which Carson did as a rookie coach last year, and get fired the next. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Art Modell has had some health problems through the years. His franchise is clearly the best team to never have made it to the Super Bowl, and maybe he feels he's got to move a little more quickly than he might have under other circumstances, and he makes the change.
Art Modell made a comment that Bud Carson did not inherit an expansion team, and that is true, and he compared their record to the 49ers with their number of victories. But one thing that hasn't happened to the Browns the last couple of years that I don't know that you can blame Bud Carson for is that from a personnel standpoint, I think the Browns have deteriorated. They've had retirements in their offensive line. This is a team that really has no team defensive speed. It has become an aged team, and Bernie Kosar's production, I'm not sure if it's coming back. So I don't know that the Browns aren't in for more hard times before good times.
And you know what's funny, too? You go back a little history here. Remember, Marty Schottenheimer was there. They fired him after the 1988 season. And George Seifert was on his way to Cleveland to be interviewed, and they got a hold of him in the Dallas airport and said, Bill Walsh is retiring. Come on back.
And, of course, Marty having a lot of success now out in Kansas City. As Dan pointed out, it's tough to win over a period of years because each time you're drafting later and later, 28 teams, and you draft inversely, and it takes its toll over the years. It really does.
Well, 2-7 is their mark right now, and we'll see about Shofter the rest of the way.
Okay, it's going to be a tough finish for them. I know a tough decision by owner Art Modell today, but Bud Carson is out. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns, and we'll be back in a moment for the second half.
The Toyota Halftime Report has been brought to you by your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. We'll be back with the second half after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Quote. Celica, one of the most eye-catching cars of the year. Auto Magazine. The performance is stunning. Sports Car International. Unquote. The 1991 Toyota Celica. Enough said.
Be a part of something big, big, big as we award the first $100,000 grand prize of the season on America's Funniest Home Video Sunday.
Yeah, bad breath.
I can't believe it.
Excuse me?
$15 for checking fees last month. That's ridiculous.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Hey, I'm no millionaire, but I've got a lot of money in that bank.
What will that get you in this town?
So I have to pay them to use my own money.
They're a bank. They can make the rules.
Fowler. I was born in the year 1906. I live here alone, and this is where I hope to stay. It's my home. Thank you very much.
John Johnson in Saudi Arabia reports from the front after the game.
This is a Channel 7 Eyewitness News Brief.
Good evening. I'm Kaidi Tong. Here's a look at some of the stories we're working on for Eyewitness News after the game. A story just breaking right now. Meir Kahane, the radical Jewish leader who founded the Jewish Defense League, was shot tonight in an apparent assassination attempt in Midtown, New York, and, according to the Israeli consulate, has died. Also tonight, police are busy searching for 3 robbers turned murderers in Queens as a daring armed robbery at a jewelry store leaves a shop owner dead and a family shattered. We'll have full coverage, plus the heartbreaking story of wedding plans destroyed by gunfire. Unions for the Daily News are huddling tonight, trying to decide what's next in the bitter strike that's now in its second week. We'll tell you what happened at tonight's meeting. And John Johnson is just back from the Persian Gulf, where he visited the front lines of American forces in the desert. Tonight he begins a special series of exclusive reports of what life is like in the hot desert for the men and women in our military forces, all after the game.
New York Giants, who are on the verge of going 8-0. And continuing on their collision course with the San Francisco 49ers. Again, those two teams will meet in Week 12. Candlestick Park. It is a Monday night. The date is December the 3rd. There is Jack Trudeau, who was hurt last week and is out for the season, knee surgery. And he had reassumed the #1 position after Jeff George had been injured earlier in the year. Barr sends the second half kickoff into the end zone. It is down there by Albert Bentley. We'll see if the Colts can get anything stirred up as we start the second half.
When you go back over the years with these Colts, you would have a little doubt about coming in here as a quarterback. They've had a horrendous record of injuries to their quarterbacks.
Guess who's winning? 44 total yards for the Indianapolis Colts and 1 first down. Just about as bad as it gets.
Still a lot of time, though.
Yeah. You and the optimist will work.
1st and 10, Indy from the 20-yard line. As Jeff George throws incomplete, intended for Jesse Hester. Up at the 24-yard line, he's blanketed by Greg Jackson. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Miller's Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. So get out of the old and get into the cold. We got out of the cold and into the warm here in Indy, where it's chilly and it was a rainy day.
It was only 40 degrees outside when we made our way over to the Hoosier Dome about, 6 o'clock Eastern? I imagine it's considerably colder than that now.
2nd and 10, and Bentley finds a hole and takes it out to the 32-yard line. And that gets the crowd stirred up. Jackson and Pepper Johnson in on the tackle.
Well, one of the rare times a Colt back has had any sort of room up the middle. Good blocking that time by Indianapolis and their offensive line, and that's just good, solid second effort by Albert Bentley.
Funny, Pepper Johnson having a great year, but one of the rare times we've made a call for him tonight, and I don't think I've called Lawrence Taylor's name on one play, and yet here are the Giants pitching a shutout from the 32-yard line. And the catch is made by Stanley Morgan, the long-time New England Patriot. Out to the 41-yard line, a gain of 9 as Gary Reasons makes the tackle.
Morgan now in his 14th year, over 540 receptions on a great career. Up there about 35 years of age.
Stanley Steamer, he played for Ron Meyer when Meyer was the coach at New England.
Also played for Ron Earhart, who's the offensive coordinator of the Giants.
2nd and 1 from the 41. And here's Dickerson. And Eric picks up the first down as he gets to the 45-yard line. So the Colts win a whole half with 1 first down and begin the 3rd quarter with a pair of them. First down up at the 45-yard line.
I guess it would be superfluous to say that this is their best drive of the game.
And their deepest penetration of the game.
Almost a 5-yard average rushing the ball.
But they've had the ball for only 7 plays on the ground. As George hits Morgan. He's into Giant territory, and that's virgin territory for the Colts as he takes it to the 40. And so 3 successive first downs. That time Howard and Johnson hit George as he released, but he cashes in for another first.
Again, here comes Stanley Morgan. The interesting part about this, the Giants have 7 defensive backs in there, and George was very fortunate. You would think he wouldn't get the pass pressure, but he was very fortunate to get rid of that ball, and he was just buried.
But that is the one thing that deep umbrella zone of the Giants will give you. It's that crossing pattern underneath. The receiver's going to take a hit, but it is there. It's there all day. There's the Giant with their 2 defensive linemen defense, and the Colts trying to run at it.
Bentley for 4 to the 36-yard line.
Giants have given up about 60% of passes against them over the year, but they usually result in 5, 6, 7-yard completions. That zone will do that. And there's the defensive coordinator, Bill Belichick, who's had now in his 6th year as defensive coordinator. It goes all the way back to 1979.
Well, Belichick is the guy that has head coach written all over him. I think it's almost mandatory within 5 years he'll be a head coach in this league.
On 2nd and 5, nearly intercepted, then nearly caught, and winds up incomplete. Greg Jackson looked like he had a beat on it, then through the hands of Billy Brooks. Into the turf it falls. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Right now the Giants have 2 defensive linemen in the game. But still they're able to get a little bit of pressure on, as you see the deflection by Jackson, who is rapidly emerging as one of the outstanding safeties in the league. 3rd round pick out of LSU last year.
Well, you can see that they only have 2 defensive linemen in there, but when you have LT and you have Pepper Johnson still in there, you're getting a rush.
3rd and 5.
Uh-oh.
And they give it to Bentley, and that doesn't fool anybody. He breaks the first couple of attempts, but then gets buried at the 38 by Johnson.
Lawrence almost had Jeff George and Bentley.
He almost took the handoff. This is Lawrence Taylor. Watch him just crash left guard, and my gosh, Randy Dixon doesn't even get a lick on Taylor at all. That's what you call disrupting the blocking scheme.
4th down, and the Colts are going to go for it. They're down by 17. Granted, it's early, but you might as well, because otherwise you're looking at a 54-yard field goal attempt. From the 37-yard line, 4th down and 7.
Well, I think I'd have to punt this ball away and try and pin them inside the 10. I mean, it is still only 17-0.
They have to get to the 30-yard line, and he hits Brooks for a 1st down. Billy Brooks stopped by Walls.
Well, I couldn't agree with Dan more, but that was a perfect pass thrown by Jeff George. They didn't even have an underneath man, no checkoff man whatsoever. If he hadn't got that pass in there, and it was beautifully thrown, it ended up being almost writing this game off.
Yeah, look how they rolled George out of the pocket. He drifted to his right and set up behind right tackle. That afforded him an extra second or two. But, folks, that's why this guy was the #1 draft choice. He can throw it.
1st down at the 20-yard line. And George throws a little out pattern to Hester for a gain of 7 to the 13-yard line. Myron Guyton bumps him out. And Brian Baldinger a little slow in arriving.
Hester, former #1 draft pick with the Raiders, had problems with his hands early in the year. You saw him concentrate, look that ball right into his paws that time, and the Colts are on a drive.
Colts have not scored an offensive touchdown in almost 2 full games. Their only score last week was on a fumble return.
Giants back in a 3-4 defense.
2nd and 3. Here's Dickerson. A hard yard. Gary Reason's the first to hit him. And it's going to be 3rd and about 2. This is the opening drive of the 3rd quarter. 17-0 Giants.
Bill Parcells was faced with the task at halftime of convincing his team that, hey, if these guys get a touchdown, they're right back in it. And all the guys in the white shirts are sitting around going, yeah, right, Coach, we hear you. Yeah.
We've heard that before.
3rd and 2 with Hester in motion. George, look out from the backside, and then is lucky it wasn't intercepted. He tried to hit Hester as Taylor came flying in, and Greg Jackson had it and couldn't hold it.
Lawrence gets the flag, and they're going to call a personal foul roughing the passer. And Taylor doesn't get this very often. Here he beats Moss, spins right around him. George has delivered the ball. I think they could say he hit him in the face with the forearm, which he did. And brought the flag.
Well, here comes that moment that I talked about at the top of the telecast, where some people have questioned Jeff George and his toughness.
Number 56, roughing the passer to the head.
That's a pretty good whack he takes there from Lawrence Taylor. And, you know, some people have talked like, you know, maybe Jeff George is too quick to take himself out of a ball game, but boy, he got up from a big hit, and he's back in the huddle. This is what everybody is looking for out of this guy. Everyone knows the physical tools are there, the passing skills are there. They just want him to play through a little pain, play with a little aggression. I think that's a good start right there, getting up from a shot like that.
First and goal from the 6. A 74-yard drive to this point. Brooks in motion. And George throws underneath. The catch is made at the 1. It is Billy Brooks who makes the catch, and the Giants, for the moment, able to keep him out of the end zone.
George again with being forced to move out of the pocket, but he threads the needle once again. We saw him against Philadelphia in preseason, and we were almost in awe of the youngster against the Philadelphia defense, and with plays like this.
Well, watch this coverage. I mean, it's difficult to complete a pass with any better coverage than Mark Collins had on right there.
And George put it in the only place where it could have been caught.
Second and goal. They come up with Bentley as the fullback, and Dickerson as the tailback, and Anthony Johnson on a wing. And Johnson in motion. Fake to Dickerson, and George lost it too deep, intended for the tight end, Pat Beach, who got tangled up with Gary Reasons.
And good coverage by Gary Reasons, and he knew he had the assignment. He didn't go for the play fake at all and stayed right with Pat Beach and forced George to overthrow the ball. George, with a perfect pass, could have had the 6 points, but it was good coverage by Reasons.
Third down and goal.
Of course, you'll see Reasons right there come in and make contact, but that ball lands all the way out of the end zone. That was an uncatchable ball. A little closer, that might have drawn a flag.
Bentley, touchdown.
Well, Albert Bentley never made it across the goal line, but the football did. That's risky. That's a good way to get it knocked out of your hands, but that was the only play afforded to Albert Bentley because he did not get across the goal line. He got the ball across.
Well, what the Colts did on that drive is they kept it going with that fourth down conversion.
Yeah. And a great pass by George to Brooks.
Look at Bentley reach that football across. Well, you know, it really worked out well. It worked out well on that fourth down, but I still look back at it and say I would have punted the ball. I mean, 17-0 early in the third quarter.
Well, I like that call only because, and I'm not saying this after the fact, but it's the one thing that was going to get Indy back in the game. Had they converted it to give them a little momentum.
Of course you're saying it after the fact.
Of course. Who's saying it after the fact?
Lawrence Taylor got nailed as he tried to go up, which he does. Customarily, that is Cumberland who catches Lawrence Taylor, and great play by Bentley to get it in the end zone for the Colts. The Giants will be talking it over in the sidelines right now.
I've set the time machine ahead 40 years. Cold filtered, never heat pasteurized Miller Genuine Draft.
Don't worry, Judy. I'm sure the future will be a very cool place.
For those who discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place. It works.
If you sometimes feel like an underdog in business, here's a whole new way to compete. Make one phone call to Sprint, and a telecommunications specialist will custom design a small business package just for you. It'll have all the cutting-edge technology that only big business used to be able to afford.
10,000 by the 30. We're in business.
So you can get to be one of those big, rich companies that everybody resents.
While it's not unusual to find a four-wheel drive vehicle in an environment like this, you may be surprised to find an environment like this in a four-wheel drive vehicle. Ford Aerostar four-wheel drive with standard rear anti-lock brakes and a powerful 4-liter V6 engine. It handles the road as easily as it handles Mother Nature.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
This is a skins game, but this is the skins game, and it only happens once a year.
Thanksgiving weekend on ABC Sports.
17-7 as the Giants will get the ball for the first time in the third quarter. Piasucci's kick. Here's Hampton, the rookie. And Rodney gets pushed out of bounds up at the 29. So the Colts went 80 yards in 14 plays on a drive that took almost half the quarter. We have 7:30 remaining in the third quarter. And the Giants with the ball and a 10-point cushion.
At BASF, we don't make the house, we make it warmer. We don't make the suit, we make it racier. We don't make the meal, we make it healthier. We don't make the music, we make it clearer. At BASF, we don't make a lot of the products you buy. We make a lot of the products you buy better. BASF, the spirit of innovation.
Get away from it all in the new Explorer from Ford. If you're looking for 4 doors and more interior room than any vehicle in its class, if you want 4-liter power and push-button 4-wheel drive in the best-selling vehicle in its class, if the only thing you want to leave behind is the city, your Explorer is ready.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
You can spot someone who saved money with a second-rate antifreeze a mile away. Not all antifreeze is the same. Nothing beats Prestone. And that's something you might appreciate down the road.
MetLife manages assets of over $125 billion. When 45 million people count on you for insurance and financial services, you can never be too strong. Get Met. It pays.
Are you ready for some football? Hi, I'm Randall Cunningham of the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Washington Redskins are coming to town, and we're ready. Next week on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Eric Dickerson and the offense takes a rest after a good drive, 80 yards. And remember, the Colts had not even been in Giants territory. They had 1 first down in the entire first half. And all of a sudden, they have turned it into a semblance of a game. It is 17-7. New York has it from the 30, 1st and 10. Otis Anderson begins where he left off. Sam Clancy, after a gain of 6, makes the tackle.
The Giants in their offensive line and Otis Anderson running the football, and at times Rodney Hampton or David Meggett or Maurice Carthon, they make a first down play and a 6-yard pickup look rather routine, at least here tonight. The Colts and offensively have made a play, but defensively they're going to have to tighten up.
2nd and 4. Anderson again. He's out to the 40, and that's very close to a first down. 6:45 remaining in the third quarter. One thing about Anderson, he is about as sure-handed as they come. With the Cardinals, he fumbled once every 41 times he handled the ball, but since coming to the Giants in 86, look at that, once every 194 handles.
And don't jump to any conclusions about that once every 41 carries, because that was right about the NFL average for a running back. So he was never really known as a fumbler, but since he came to New York, I guess a lot of that is concentration and the way Bill Parcells puts an emphasis on it.
On 1st and 10, here's Bavaro. And the Giants tight end takes it into Indy territory, and that's close to a first down. Fred Young and Jeff Harrod converge on the stop.
They're probably going to have to measure this one.
This is just across the 50-yard line as the Giants try to keep this drive going. 5:59 remaining in the third quarter. First down.
Giants going back to what they were doing early in the game when they opened up with featuring Otis Anderson. That's what they tend to go back with anytime they get into trouble. They'll experiment, they'll move people around. They had Rodney Hampton in there with Dave Meggett. I got a feeling they're going to go right back to the basics, and this man is Mr. Basics.
Anderson, about 4. Tackled by Young and Pryor and others.
Well, you see Kretsch and Harvey Armstrong get into it. Armstrong came up well after the play was over and gave Kretsch a shot right in the back. I mean, it was hardly a lethal blow, but it was enough to get a guy excited. Harvey Armstrong, the nose tackle for the Colts. If I was somebody on the Colts defensive lineman, I'd be looking for the guy with the ball.
Under 5 minutes to go in period. 2nd and 6. Sims, little safety valve to Anderson, and he gets wrestled down as he reaches the 40-yard line. Fred Young, the first to hit him. And he is a little bit short of the first down.
We talk so much about Otis Anderson being a strong running back and the contribution he's made to the Giants, but when he was with the Cardinals, he was a tremendous receiver. He had a couple of years when he caught over 50. When he had 1 year went up to 60 receptions. So he just does it all out there.
I think he had 1 year over 70, did he not? When the Cardinals were still in St. Louis.
3rd and 1. And did Carson make it or not? Very close.
He got down low enough, and it looks like he does have it. Carson, the quiet one for the Giants. Good, solid blocker for Anderson. He's quiet, but he gains a lot of respect. When Carson says something and does something, the rest of the Giants listen. Parcells was telling us that, you know, they're afraid of him.
Dan,
he is one of the leaders.
To finish off your query, O.J. caught exactly 70 passes in 1984.
It is over 60 there.
I think everyone is aware how he burst on the scene as a rookie back in 1979, 195 or 196 yards, something like that, in his very first game against the Dallas Cowboys, and just dominated. First several years in the league, and then basically had 4 years off. And what Parcells calling one time, he's my Elvis.
On first down, the pass is too high as Bavaro got one hand on it, and then it was nearly picked off by Chris Good.
Again, Herod trying to stay with Bavaro. Sims made the right read, but good coverage by Herod. You know, talking about Sims and talking about Otis Anderson being the same backfield now, talking to George Young the other day. Let's look at Bavaro again. He reads with Phil Sims. He knows the blitz is on. He has the coverage by the linebacker. Phil tried to get it in there. It's just incomplete. But
the last time he threw that pass, it was intercepted.
Almost the same action.
It was the same with Ingram breaking in from the outside. And Phil is intent on trying to jam that ball in there to Bavaro, even though he's covered.
2nd and 10. New York at the Colts 40. And Sims gets sacked at the 48-yard line by Chip Banks.
As Dan pointed out earlier, one defensive player that has performed tonight has been Chip Banks from the very outset. Former All-Pro with the Cleveland Browns. He beats Bavaro, and we were talking earlier, Bavaro, one of the better blocking tight ends. And that time, Banks got around, and Bavaro couldn't get into the block, and down goes Sims, only the 8th time he's been sacked all year.
3rd down now and 18 for the Giants at the 47-yard line. 3:10 remaining, 3rd quarter. Colts trying to really get back in it, down by 10. A little screen set up to Hampton. He's inside the 40, seeking the first down, gets to the 30. He's about a yard short with a great effort.
And it'll be interesting now because Bill Parcells loves to go on 4th and short. And last year had a good record, as we see an injured player down. Here's Hampton again. A little middle screen. It was a good call, very safe. What Parcells did not want to do is to turn it over, try to go deep to an outside receiver. So he comes with a middle screen, and Hampton comes very close to the first down. They work on the injured player, and Bill Parcells considers the possibility of going on 4th and short.
When you're on top, everybody wants a shot at you.
And to stay on top, you know you can't stand still, cause you don't know how, and you never will. Ford trucks, the best ever rest.
That's why Ford uses the latest in technology and engineering, working to make our trucks even better.
Ford trucks, the best ever rest.
The best-built, best-selling American trucks are built Ford tough. What is the image of a rebel? These are the images of a rebel. Canon's revolutionary new autofocus EOS Rebel. So easy to use, you can stop taking snapshots and start taking photographs.
Rebel, rebel.
Image is everything.
EOS Rebel from Canon. So advanced, it's simple. Coal filters never heat pasteurized.
What happened? The car just kind of...
Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
It's Roseanne's time of the month, and Dan's got a lot to look forward to.
The 24-hour roller coaster ride with Sybil at the Switch.
Roseanne, Tuesday.
The injured Colt is Harvey Armstrong, and they are already missing Donnell Thompson with an injury. 2 of their 3 starters are now gone on the defensive line. Armstrong had come in with a banged-up knee, and Tony Siragusa comes in along the defensive front, and is going to be a key man here because it's 4th down and 1, and the Giants will go for it.
They're 6 of 11 thus far this season, not nearly as successful as they were a year ago.
Anderson, the sole running back in this set. He gets the ball. He gets the first down, and the Giants keep the drive alive, taking it to the 24. So the big play on the 3rd down and 18. Hampton gets 17, and then Anderson takes him to a first down.
I have heard of overloading a side, and speaking of an overload, there is Jumbo Elliott right there. On the sidelines, expecting to be back next week. Had the broken bone in his lower leg, the non-weight-bearing bone.
Also eligible to come back next week to wide receiver Odessa Turner.
How happy is that bone that it's a non-weight-bearing bone when it's in the lower leg of Jumbo Elliott?
Fibula, skier's bone.
First down from the 24. Meggett. Stopped by Fred Young after a gain of a couple. Rapidly moving 3rd quarter. The Colts had the ball for half the period, and the Giants have had it for almost the balance. The clock is down to 1:28 remaining.
I was talking earlier about Phil Simms and Otis Anderson being the same backfield. George Young told me the other day that in 1979 the Giants drafted in the 7th round, and had Phil Simms been gone at that time, they would have drafted Otis Anderson. As it is, the Giants took Simms in the 7th round. The Cardinals took him in the 8th, and now these many years later, nevertheless, they're in the same backfield together.
2nd and 8. Simmons throws to Meggett. He loses the football, and Indianapolis has it at the 12. They're still scuffling, and flags go down, but the signal's already been made. Colts ball.
Oh, and they're pointing at William Roberts. That's Fred Young getting up last from the Colt pile, but again, it's a completion to David Meggett.
66 on the Giants.
A good tackle that time.
Daniel hit him.
Baylor, Eugene Daniel rather, is the guy that hit him, and the ball comes out, but you can see William Roberts gets flagged for the personal foul, and of course, being a dead ball foul, that's just 15 free yards for the Colts. There's Daniel, 38, making the hit before Meggett really gets a chance to tuck the ball away. Maurice Carthen had a shot at it and overshot it.
The Giants came in here with a plus 12 in the takeaway giveaway category. They only had 7 giveaways, fumbles or interceptions coming into tonight. Now they have had 1 of each.
And Bill Parcells right now is doing, can you believe this? He said, I told you guys, I told you this could happen.
Fred Young made the recovery. Indy has it at the 29. 53 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Giants ahead 17-7. Brooks Taylor with the tackle. Minimal pickup.
One of the rare instances that you'll see Lawrence Taylor lined up to the outside and drop back into pass coverage. But even when he does, he comes up and makes a hit for only, what, about a 6-inch gain, if that.
Colts totally dormant in the first half. Then a good third quarter drive. Culminated with a touchdown, and here Hester makes the catch and gets popped by Greg Jackson at the 34 on what will be the final play of the third quarter. So the fourth period will begin with a 3rd and 4 from the 35 for Indianapolis. Giants lead by 10. In fact, we come after this word from our ABC station.
Wednesday, a male model
Nice work, Wanda.
poses a threat.
Thanks. I just can't believe that Wanda would be so superficial.
On Doogie Howser, MD.
Does this look any bigger?
Then Russell returns to college.
What happened to his ponytail? Guess it fell out with the rest of his hair.
And learns he dated his teacher's wife.
Give her my best.
You already did.
Married people.
30 years ago, it began. Starting November 18th, it's back.
How easy is it to program a Gold Star microwave? With an oven that actually adjusts to whatever you're cooking, whether it's fish, meat, or poultry, it's pretty easy. At Gold Star, we use advanced technology to make products easier to use. Gold Star, user-friendlier.
You're the top. You're the Coliseum. You're the top. You're the Louvre Museum. You're the best in beer. That fact is clear. Each drop, you're number one. Second to none. You're the top.
Heineken, America's #1 imported beer. Amstel Light, America's #1 imported light beer.
You're a cut above. The taste we love. Each drop, you're the best of both worlds. You're the top.
This is Kaidi Tong. Militant Jewish leader Meir Kahane was assassinated tonight in Midtown Manhattan. At least 3 others were shot as well. We'll have full details after the game.
Why your children may be taking risky rides to school. Tomorrow at 6.
Fourth quarter, Indianapolis, Indiana. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf. Giants ahead 17-7. And the Colts have a 3rd and 4 at their own 35 as the fourth quarter gets underway. Jeff George has an open man. It's Brooks, and he has a first down. Billy Brooks out at the 41-yard line. Perry Williams makes the tackle. Here's a reminder coming up Sunday on ABC Sports. Yvonne Lendl competing, 8 of the world's top tennis stars. Shooting it out for $500,000 as Cox presents the tennis shootout. Coverage begins at 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central and Pacific, Sunday on ABC Sports. First and 10 from the 41-yard line. Through Brooks's hands. He was covered by Pepper Johnson up at the 50-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Brooks knew that was a bad throw. He had just too much on that for Brooks to handle. Brooks was open underneath, however. I'll tell you something that's disappeared here for a while, and that's the Giants' pass rush. Jeff George is able to set, able to put his lead foot into the toss, and a very catchable ball that time, I think, by Billy Brooks. That thing hit him right on the palms of the hands. Bill Belichick, the defensive coordinator for New York, looks on. LT and the gang hasn't really been after Jeff George here very much in the second half.
2nd and 10. Bentley up to the 46-yard line. Lawrence Taylor makes the initial stop.
Leonard Marshall missed the tackle that would have given the Colts a loss. Come up shaking his head. He's been alternating over the right side with John Washington. Taylor again fighting away, getting away from Zephyrus Moss, who's done a pretty good job on Taylor tonight. The big man over the left side. Moss going about 340 pounds, and
It takes a long time to run around him when that big.
Well, really, Taylor had to give ground to get off that block. That's why you saw the 5-yard pickup.
3rd and 5. Big rush. Johnson with the sack. The ball is alive. It's picked up by Dave Duerson, the former Bear. And Duerson in for a touchdown.
Well, you knew the minute I talk about not a lot of pressure here in the second half, that would curse the Colts, and that's what happened. Jeff George trying to roll to his left to get away from the coverage. And it was an offensive lineman, Kevin Call, that tried to keep Pepper out of there. Watch it. Here we have it ISO'd for you. Just strictly an upfield rush by Pepper Johnson. And Jeff George never saw him.
Talked about earlier the good year that Pepper is having. Both they leave him in there on their prevent defense, their nickel and their dime defense. And Dave Duerson, the former Bear, takes it in, and all of a sudden it gets very quiet here in the Hoosier Dome.
Barr kicks the extra point. Isn't it interesting? Everson Walls, all of those great years with Dallas, had never scored a touchdown until last week when he runs one back for the Giants. And Dave Duerson, in all those years with Chicago, had never scored, and he scores his first NFL touchdown here tonight. 24-7.
Again, good coverage. Forced George out of the pocket, looking for a receiver. Johnson comes around the horn, nails him, and Duerson takes it in.
There's a new line of cars on the block. A revolutionary way of thinking. That world-class standards should begin at home. With cars built to last, engineered to perform, designed to make you take notice. Introducing the new Ford Escort. A new line of thought, a new line of cars.
Samsonite's Adventure Series luggage is perfect for those active vacations. It's sporty, easy to carry, and like every Samsonite, quite durable. The Adventure Series, for all you can pack into a vacation.
Dear Rayovac, I've had a battery-operated back scratcher in the drawer for years and years. We had 2 Rayovac batteries in it. I turned it on, and lo and behold, they were still good. We were really surprised, and so was everyone else. No one believed it until we showed them that they still worked. How's that for good batteries? Sincerely, Mrs. Margaret Bronner, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Rayovac. Batteries that turn people on.
13:23 remaining in the fourth quarter. Matt Barr, the longtime Cleveland Brown kicker who lost his job at Cleveland when Jerry Korek outkicked him in preseason and then found a home here when Raul Alegre got hurt. He's been kicking off very well tonight. A yard into the end zone, and after a lot of hesitation, Albert Bentley could have saved himself 8 yards. Had it at the 20 instead of the 12, and Barr gets into a little battle here.
The nesting instinct is a desire to settle down.
Say what?
Couples become placid.
In a Grand Am sedan? Get out of here. This thing's so quick, you'd never know it's a 4-door.
They gladly repress their own desires.
Dream on! Being sensible isn't boring in the Grand Am.
You know, I love coming to the park with their major. Because there's nothing better than spending a little time with man's 2 best friends. His dog and his beer. Miller Lite, the less filling beer that really tastes great.
What's this?
That's mine.
Yeah, doggy.
Miller Lite, where less filling really tastes great.
The new Twist and Shoot from Hitachi is the world's thinnest camcorder. Just twist it on and it's ready to shoot.
The Twist and Shoot camcorder, only from Hitachi.
NFC struggles collide. The Washington Redskins lead their posse into Philadelphia to meet Randall Cunningham and the Eagles next week on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Love letters in the turf.
The old game plan that's gone array. You can see it's on the Colts side.
They are down by 17 is Indianapolis as they begin this drive at the 12-yard line. 13-14 remaining. Jeff George throws it at the feet of Albert Bentley. And George winds up on his back.
Again, wasn't George. He just didn't have the time to get the ball effectively into the screen.
Well, the middle screen by far and away the most difficult to set up of all the screens. Also the most risky as far as a ball being tipped or having someone you can't see step around one of your offensive linemen and interception. Boy.
Quite frankly, Dan, a little dumb against the Giants. They play almost a total zone defense.
Yeah.
They keep two linebackers right in there.
I was trying to be kind.
2nd and 10. Leonard Marshall.
Ooh, so close to 2 points.
Back at the 1-yard line. That's an 11-yard sack for Leonard.
Leonard had to be thinking that tackle that he missed a moment ago that would have dropped Bentley for a loss. He missed it, just a straight-on shot, and he's been hammering on his head ever since.
Well, Leonard and LT run a stunt there to the left side. You see Leonard working to the outside. There comes Lawrence looping back to the inside, and Albert Bentley, who's trying to help out there on the left side, trying to help out Zafras Moss, picks up Leonard and then just lets him go. Moss in no position to catch up, and it is chaos now, I'm afraid, offensively for the Colts.
3rd and 22.
And here comes an all-out blitz.
Whoa! Bentley avoids the safety. Walls makes the tackle up at the 4, and that gives Stark a little bit of kicking room.
That tackle by Walls, a good open field tackle on a tough running back, Albert Bentley. One of the things that Walls did not do as well as he did a lot of other things when he came here. We'll watch him again. He was not a good open field tackler. And he had a little sit down and talk it over with Bill Parcells, and ever since then he's been making tackles like this.
I'm afraid it was the 2 tackles missed by Gary Reasons and Lawrence Taylor in the end zone.
Well, they'll have a little talk with Bill Parcells.
That was a 2-point missed tackle.
Ron Stark's kick, fielded by Meggett at the 41, and he returns it to the 38, setting the Giants up in relatively prime field position with 11 minutes and 58 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Giants are that far away from extending their mark to 8-0.
By 10:30 tomorrow morning, one company will guarantee delivery of your overnight air packages to more people, places, and businesses than anyone else in the business. UPS introduces 10:30 a.m. guaranteed overnight air delivery. 62,000 trucks. No waiting.
Tranquility. That's where it's at.
Wrong.
Relinquish power. You don't need it.
I live for power, and my Pontiac Grand Am has plenty of it. It gets great mileage, too.
You don't want anything that'll get you going.
Wanna bet? My Grand Am gets me going every time.
Please don't leave. Final boarding call from flight 178. Seattle, which is left. There's another flight at 4. 3 hours? Now what do? Gordon, I better call him. I'm going to do some revisions here. I've got a couple of hours. And if I could just hook up my computer to a phone line.
When you're on the road, nobody has more ways to help you than AT&T.
Time for one more call home.
AT&T, how can we help you?
The Ohio State Buckeyes are out to dethrone Big Ten leader Iowa. Then the UCLA Bruins meet number 2 Washington. It's an ABC college football doubleheader Saturday.
And a very happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps, their 215th birthday. Of course, so many of the Marines over in the Middle East with the rest of our servicemen. We've been sending cards each week after a Monday night game, and we've had an interesting response. Of course, we wish them all well, and particularly the Marines on their birthday.
Giants have it at the 38 as Tillman picks up 3, taking it to the 35-yard line.
Keith Jackson, former Marine.
Yes, he is, and Keith will be working this week. College football coming up on ABC. A couple of very attractive games. A doubleheader for you.
Former PLCer myself.
We will be taking a look first at Ohio State against Hayden Fry's Iowa Hawkeyes. And then UCLA against Washington. The Huskies are Rose Bowl bound, and they are number 2 in the country. The second half of the doubleheader on Saturday. 2nd and 7 from the 35. Sims to the screen. Here's Tillman. Stopped at the 39. You know, I'm thinking of a funny thing. When's the last time you can remember the Giants are going to remain unbeaten? The 49ers are unbeaten. You've got 2 pro teams unbeaten, and only 1 major college team is unbeaten right now, the Houston Cougars, who are on probation and ineligible to play in a bowl game. They've won 12 straight, and that's the longest current streak among major college teams. But do you guys know who has the longest streak of all in college football?
No, but I know we're going to find out.
The Dayton Flyers have won 20 straight, as have the Williams
I knew this was
Eastmen.
coming. I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. Now you're going to tell us who went to Williams.
George Steinbrenner went to Williams. Faye Vincent went to Williams.
That's not the one I'm looking for.
And your boxing partner,
yeah,
Dave Meggett.
Alex Swallow went to Williams.
To the 33. How do you think I know all this stuff? And did you get also Jack Maitland, who's probably the most famous player to ever play for Williams, was a Colts running back in 1970.
Hey, Vincent and George Steinbrenner both. Huh?
Went to the same school. The Williams Eastmen.
Spell that.
E-E-E-E-E-P-H.
Another Williams graduate.
Well,
it's 4th down here. Matt Barr to attempt a 50-yard field goal, maybe. They faked one last week and almost threw a touchdown pass to Lawrence Taylor, who's lined up as a wing on the left. This time Barr will attempt it from 50, and the kick is no good.
That was right at the edge of Matt Barr's range.
Of course, Parcells still has Raul Alegre on his injured reserve list.
Not to mention another list
ready to... Okay, what's the other list?
Yeah. They're still out past midnight.
Okay.
Okay.
America's most successful luxury automobiles, the Cadillac, DeVille, and Fleetwood, gain new stature with a new, more powerful V8. Standard anti-lock brakes, combined with the largest interiors of any front-drive sedans. A balance of power and luxury in which neither is compromised. Another reason why the only way to travel is Cadillac style.
Basketball practice at 4 o'clock. I better get
I'm bringing you boss home for dinner. I'd better make something special.
Is it possible? We've had that refrigerator since '84.
Hey, listen to this. Car expenses took 10% of the budget last month.
Yeah, Mom, I finished with my homework.
Yay! You're good at this game.
Finally, a computer so easy to use it guarantees success. The Tandy 1000 RL with 24 built-in home organizing solutions, now on sale. Only at Radio Shack, America's technology store. Nobody compares for Christmas shopping.
Now, on video cassette. If you don't buy the man in your life, Total Recall.
You wouldn't hurt me.
There's no telling what he'll do.
We're married.
Consider it a divorce. Total Recall. Totally yours for just $24.99.
Barbecue. Summer's over. Baggett. McDonald's? Hey, McRib. Let's see. McDonald's? Oh, the Sean.
Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. Colts have the ball at their own 33-yard line with 9:39 to play in the fourth quarter. Giants on top, 24-7.
Well, they'll get their chance. December the 3rd at the Stick.
The teams remain unbeaten. They each go in 11-0. Blitz, and Dickerson exploits it and picks up about 11 as he gets to the 44-yard line. The road to December 3rd. Can these teams remain unbeaten? Well, they've got a pretty good chance. So the Giants go to the Rams next week, have the Lions back at the Meadowlands, and then to Philadelphia on the 25th. 49ers are in Dallas next week, then Tampa and the Rams at home.
He's a horse and a half. This game is really deteriorating.
From the 44, Dickerson stopped by Marshall. Well, the Giants are trying to beat the Colts for the first time since 1963. Granted, these teams don't play very often, and the last time they met was in 1979. But clearly, Frank, one of the most important games in the history of the National Football League featured these two teams in a game in which you played in 1958.
That was when we shouldn't have played, as I recall. Outgunned. Johnny Unitas, Ray Berry connected for about 11 receptions on one drive.
Overtime. Colts win it on an Amici touchdown, 23-17. Hester makes the catch here, about 9 yards short of the first. Greg Jackson makes the tackle, but clearly that was a milestone game, because that sort of vaulted pro football into the type of prominence it's enjoyed over the last 3 decades. And here was the end of the game as Alan the Horse Amici scores the touchdown in the first overtime game in the history of the league.
Is that where the old expression, he's a horse and a half, came from?
I mean, certainly he was a double horse that day.
Some great players in that game. You think of Gina Marchetti, Lenny Moore, Marty Donovan, Johnny Unitas. He just went a little, 1 quarter too long for us.
3rd down and 9. George throws, and the catch is made by Stanley Morgan, who keeps the drive going, taking it down to the 26-yard line, where he's stopped by Dave Duerson.
Well, that time Jeff George had lots of time to see what was going on. That offensive line, led by Ray Donaldson, really gave him the time. Jeff moved just a little bit to buy him this extra time, and Mark Collins, playing the short zone to that side, just kind of loses track of Stanley Morgan. You can't be asked to keep track of somebody for that length of time. George had at least 6 or 7 seconds before he finally threw the ball.
Giants with 7 defensive backs in there now.
First down, Colts at the 26 as Dickerson cannot slip a tackle from Pepper Johnson, who adds a little emphasis as well, verbally.
Hey, talking about that 58 Colt game, the doctor for the Giants was Dr. Tony Pisani, who kept the whole bunch of us together that year, a very long year towards that drive as we look once again. But Pepper Johnson having a big night and having a big year, but Tony Pisani is looking on tonight. Had broken hip and a fall down in Boynton, Florida. He's in the Bethesda Hospital and having a little tough time of it. Some of the Giants wanted me to stay low from all of them.
Second and 12 from the 28-yard line. Taylor takes an inside rush, still gets double teamed, and Pat Beach makes the catch at the 23. You know, I think it might surprise some younger viewers, Frank, when I said it was the first overtime game in the history of the league. That in the old days, as I refer to 58, they didn't play overtime. In fact, overtime didn't come into regular season play until the early 70s. And it was only in postseason play that they played overtime. And that was the first chance to ever go past the fourth quarter. 3rd and 8. Colts from the 24. George going to the end zone and can't get it to Clarence Verdun. He was covered rather well by Perry Williams, and it will be 4th down.
Perry Williams, who for all intent and purposes lost his job to Everson Walls, but he has turned into a fine nickelback, and the Giants have been using a lot of the 7 defensive back set. They've been very effective with it. They don't get a whole lot of pass pressure, but they get excellent coverage. And as we pointed out earlier, teams have been able to complete a lot of passes against them, but they haven't been able to put up a lot of points. They've been getting 5 and 6 and 7 yard passes, but they've been defending well against the deep pass.
One of the Colt offensive linemen is down on the far side of the field. I believe it's Kevin Call, number 71, who's on a knee and was not able to get up after that last play.
We stated at the top, Cole and Donaldson in particular have been quite vocal in expressing their displeasure toward Eric Dickerson. And that's a situation that many of you followed, of course, before the season. There is Donaldson, the Pro Bowl center. And, well, you just don't invite them to the same party, but they have to go to work together every week.
Well, I think it all boils down on how much pride you take in your job. And Ray Donaldson, the leader of that offensive line, and that offensive line suffered from the comments made by that guy, Eric Dickerson. I mean, he's since retracted them and said, I said some things I shouldn't have said, and he has publicly apologized to the people of Indianapolis and privately apologized to his teammates. But to Kevin Call and to Ray Donaldson, that has not been enough.
Nope.
That has not been enough by a long shot.
Meanwhile, since Dickerson was activated, he's carried the ball 27 times for 107 yards, which is a tick under 4 yards a carry in the 3 games. And remember that the Colts lost their first 3, then won 2 before Dickerson was activated. 4th down and 8 from the 24-yard line. And the catch is made by Verdun. And so for the second time in the game, the Colts convert on a 4th down. Clarence Verdun makes the catch to set up a 1st and goal from the 7.
Big time pass there by Jeff George. Again, sliding out of the pocket, but he really put something on that. He can throw it. We'll go back to that Philadelphia game. He slips a little bit to his left and just smokes one out. Gets the completion to Verdun. And that's against the zone with good tight coverage.
1st and goal from the 8. George throws it out of Marion County.
As he should have.
Yep.
I mean, that was a timing pattern all the way and really just a one receiver pattern, and so just get rid of it. You really have to look, though, at this Colt franchise, and they've made the commitment to revolve around this man. He is their future. They paid a big price for him, and now he's going to need some help. It's going to be up to Jim Irsay, the general manager of this franchise, to get him an offensive line, to get him some receivers, to surround him with talent. Because he has it. He has what it takes.
2nd and goal from the 8. Brooks makes the catch, gets to the 3. Pepper Johnson helps him at the 3-yard line, and it will be 3rd down and goal. The clock is running with 4:05, and there is Jim Irsay.
Talked about the price they paid. One of the players that they let go to get that 1st-round pick in the draft, the first player pick in the draft, was Andre Rison, who turned into a great receiver down at Atlanta. Chris Hinton, of course, the Pro Bowl tackle and a 1st-round draft pick. That's a pretty stiff price to move up and pick a quarterback. But if he turns into a 10 or 12-year starter, well, you got a pretty good item. You made a good deal.
3rd and goal. Colts trying to keep breathing, and they can only get to the 1-yard line. Jesse Hester is there, and it will be 4th and goal. Johnny Cooks makes the tackle, and Gary Reasons is there as well. And a timeout is being signaled here, and that stops the clock with 3:16 remaining. It'll be 4th and goal at the 1-yard line when play resumes. 3:16 left, and the Giants on top 24-7.
Nobody is putting quality on the road like Cadillac, winner of the 1990 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. In fact, Cadillac is the first and only car company to earn this coveted award from the United States Department of Commerce for its world-class achievements in satisfying the customer. So in a very real way, Cadillac's success is also a victory for the American consumer. Another reason why the only way to travel is Cadillac style.
Well, the Colts with barely a pulse, but still trying to remain alive here. 4th and goal at the 1, down by 17.
Well, you have to look back at the fumble that was returned for a touchdown by Dave Duerson. I mean, here the Colts are on the verge of scoring their 14th point if they're lucky enough to get in.
And on 4th down, lofted into the end zone and broken up. A flag is down. Greg Jackson was able to knock it away from Jesse Hester. And let's see about the call from Haggerty, as the line judge appears to have been the official who spots the infraction.
Well, that goes against the Colts. The Giants, of course, are going to decline it. That was a terrific play by Jackson, who's made superb plays tonight. We talked about how his rapid development as a safety man.
Disregard the flag. Disregard the flag.
Okay. And Jackson made a tremendous play here. Number 47, the 3rd-round draft pick of a year ago. Hester makes the break to the outside. George put it up there. Now watch Jackson recover. He knows he's got to be playing tight. He goes up with both hands and knocks the ball out. That's a Pro Bowl play. Great effort just to get back into it. Now, with both hands, you're allowed to do it. You're not screening. You're not face guarding. Superb effort.
Yeah, and the flag wasn't thrown by that official right there who was on top of that play. The flag was thrown back upfield, and of course, you see we have a change in quarterback.
Jeff Hostetler, who came off the bench to guide a victory over Phoenix a couple of weeks back, hands the ball off to Tillman for a gain of a couple out to the 3 as we tick down to the 3-minute mark. Next week, NFC East battle. Both teams are trying to remain alive in the wild card hunt, and both coming off impressive offensive performances yesterday. Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia. The site is Randall Cunningham's Eagles take on the Washington Redskins.
Talk about Hostetler in his effort against Phoenix a few weeks ago. Last year, when Phil Simms went down with a bad ankle, he brought Hostetler in, and he had tremendous games against the Cardinals where he ran for a couple of touchdowns, and also against the Vikings, getting wins for the Giants. So Giants are very content with this young man. He's not all that young anymore. He's been around for 7 years, but he could be the heir apparent to Phil Simms, who is now in his 12th year and turned 35 this past Saturday. But right now, you have to say this guy is in full control of his team, Phil Simms.
Colts have called a timeout. That last one charged to them. And if the Giants hold on, second time the teams have started the season, 2 teams, 8-0. And you go back 56 years the last time that happened. Tillman out to the 3. And Indy takes another timeout. You know, one other thing, let's finish up one story here. Those of you in New York heard about it. It didn't get much play elsewhere. Howard Cosell went on a radio show last week, accused Lawrence Taylor, a 2-time drug offender, of continuing drug abuse. Cosell said he has fresh vials of Bible Belt urine, and how he is still being allowed to play in a duly adjudicated illegal monopoly is beyond me. Taylor responded on Friday by saying, I've adhered to the NFL's drug policy on a weekly basis for the last 3 years. If I had abused it in any way, I wouldn't be here. I don't have time for any silly old man's remarks and will accept nothing less than a public apology. And if he doesn't feel it's warranted, I'll take legal action. That's what he said on Friday, but you talked to him earlier tonight, Frank, about any possible legal action, and I guess he's not thinking about that anymore.
No, he said he was out. He wanted it gone. He wanted it out of his life, and I think it is out of his life.
2:50 to go. 3rd down and 8 from the 3. Tillman out to the 10-yard line. And the Colts are out of timeouts. The next time the clock stops, it'll be at the 2-minute warning.
And another man who we haven't talked about much tonight because they haven't needed him that much, but Sean Landeta is leading the National Football League in punting. He, along with Maggott, he is from Towson State. Both of them were talking to me this past week. They're very upset that Towson State is about to give up football, and they're considering it at the moment. But Maggott and Sean Landeta, both from Towson State, and quite concerned about the fact that their school is about to give up this game.
Sean Landeta, the only guy in the league to get more publicity in Vanity Fair than Sports Illustrated.
The king of page 6. He does work the Big Apple.
Verdun fields at the 48, taken down at the 44, and our 2-minute warning comes with exactly 1:50 left in the fourth. And the Giants 110 seconds away from reaching the halfway mark at a perfect 8-0.
Top and Miller Lite together for the Recycler Tour. Don't let them pass you by.
Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds.
By using a complete address, you can help us deliver even better on a promise we made a long time ago. We deliver for you. A new, more powerful V8, standard in these Cadillacs, generates a responsive 200 horsepower. Yet combined with a new electronically controlled transmission, it also provides the highest highway mileage of any V8-powered luxury car, making it just as responsible to own as it is responsive to drive. Another reason why the only way to travel is Cadillac style.
Cadillac style.
1:50 to go. The Colts have the ball at their own 44-yard line. The Giants on their way to a win. And yesterday it was Barry Sanders with his great run for a touchdown to put Detroit 3 touchdowns in front of Washington. And that's when Joe Gibbs went to the bench. He went with the former Giant Jeff Rutledge, and with just seconds left in the game, Rutledge right here scoring his first ever NFL touchdown to tie the game in regulation. And then in OT, it was Chip Lohmiller booting this field goal. And the Skins go back to the nation's capital, a 3-point victor at Pontiac. And next week we have Washington at Philadelphia.
Both of them very much alive, considering the standings in the National Football Conference for wild cards. Pretty much out of it as far as the NFC East is concerned.
Here's Dickerson on a rather unusual call. 46. In the post-mortem in that Washington game yesterday, a few things to mull over. They set an NFL record 43 completions in the game. Tied the NFL record 39 first downs in the game for the Redskins. And they tied a team record by erasing a 21-point margin, the biggest margin that the Skins have ever erased, to win it. And then Rutledge, as we say, scored his first touchdown in 77 games.
How about Rutledge not even coming in until the second half and attempting 42 passes in the remainder of regulation and then overtime. That's airing it out.
Unbelievable.
I bet he had that many reps in practice since he arrived there.
Dickerson makes that catch. It's close to a first down, and they spot it at the 46, and it's not, for what it's worth.
Well, I'm glad to see Jeff George go the whole game tonight and throw the ball well. And I think it's been an exemplary performance by him today.
This is a fourth down play, and Dickerson runs out of bounds, and Giants turn it over, or the Colts turn it over to the Giants. Colts are running out the clock.
You could hear the crowd, what little of it is left here tonight, not Not very pleased with Mr. Dickerson heading for the sideline on 4th down.
Jeff Mason is our executive producer. The Wolfman himself, Kenny Wolf, our producer, directed by Craig Janoff. Our technical director, the impeccable Joe Shavo. Ben Harvey, our associate director. Rick Abbott and Kurt Kluger, the assistants to the producers. Al Danforth, Jim Licata, Dennis Abo, Patrick McManus, Steve Hurd, our director of information. And to our guys upstairs here, Kelly J. Hayes, the mayor of Malibu, and to George Hill, and the great Ronique. Our thanks, as always. Boys, we will reconvene in Philadelphia next week.
Save a lobster for me. We'll be on our way.
Giants win it by a score of 24-7. New York now 8-0 and a typical, effective, functional win for New York. And we'll talk to you next Monday night from Philly.
Saturday at 8 a.m.